Pentium.
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 18th of May, 2014. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Robert Kemp.
I'd just like to point out the second isn't actually part of that name. It's not Pentium. Although, how would you spell that? With another UO on the end.
With a dash, presumably. And Zachary Burgess is here too.
Unpentium that computer.
Unpentium. I don't know if you can say that name of that element without the little corporate logo. Ding ding ding.
That's only for Intel Pentium. Pentium might be a different thing.
Have you ever noticed how the Wii and the Wii U ding is pretty much the same as the start of the Intel ding dun 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 dun?
Not really.
It's the same
I hadn't
sound.
really connected them, but I'm sure it probably is.
That ding is the same sound, I swear.
I heard somebody saying that the chord that you get when you start up an Apple computer, like a Mac, is the same chord from A Day in the Life from Sgt. Pepper's. But I googled it and it's not the same chord. It just
chord
sounds...
that machine makes is the same chord as a chord that happened in a song at some point in the entire history of songs.
It's true.
Spectacular news.
But it's just it's a chord. It's a long drawn out bam that sounds pretty similar. That is doesn't have anything else going on around it. You know, the song kind of sort of builds up to a crescendo and stops and then goes bam, like a Mac turning on.
But it's basically like the start of the Windows noise. Bong, ding. Only that's the really
that was made by Brian Eno. Did you know that?
No.
And it was made on a Mac as well. Funny enough.
So they probably stole that sound effect.
I don't
who
remember
did?
the dang, ding.
When
was that? It was 95.
It was 95. That was the Brian Eno one.
So I only remember the XP one, really. The bling, 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 bling.
At least I'm pretty sure it was Eno. It was some famous producer. Right. Yeah, indeed. Apparently a lot of thought goes into these things.
Wait, wasn't Windows... No, was it Windows 3? Like the stupid trumpets where it's just like... Da-da!
Yeah, that was... Of course that was Windows 3.1. That's like ancient.
I've used that as a text message sound. Old school.
Yeah, sell your system, get trumpets. Macs don't actually have sounds for just logging in and stuff, do they? It's just the chord.
Yeah, I think they don't have sounds for all of that stuff. I find them quite grating in Windows anyway. Like I locked my computer the other day by accident, and I don't have a password on it, but it still made the doo-doo, doo-doo, and all of that sound.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a... Well, presumably that's part of your work policy now, isn't it? That you have to lock your machine whenever you...
Oh, yeah, but it wasn't at work. That one doesn't... that is definitely part of the policy, indeed.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't think that thing has any speakers. Need to try...
It's kind of cool. I think, like, on my work PC, I have the one that has the Windows sound scheme that has the trumpets in it. So as I'm unplugging or plugging in USB devices, it's going...
That can sometimes be so loud that if you've got your sound settings wrong and you're not expecting it and you're plugging in USB, I think it's a loud sound effect relative to the kind of baseline volume level or something.
I don't know. I think they're okay, like in terms of, well, you know, they're well made, put together sounds. But if you've been watching a DVD or something, which tends to be quieter to
true.
Make use of the range more.
The dynamic range. Indeed, it is true.
I'm sort of annoyed by that. It's annoying, isn't it, when you're sort of watching a proper film? It's all really quiet, and then what happens on TV, like all the time, like you're watching something, and then you flip to another station. It's a super loud Tetsu mode.
It's true. Maybe there should be a signal for like the dynamic range of the signal or something. Do you know what I mean? So that like you could have a base level for films, and then they could go over it for like super when Godzilla arrives or whatever.
Explosions.
Yeah, and your TV could like.
But it's sort of against what television producers want in their material, isn't it? Is the problem. So in a film, they want everything to be like precision sound. But then as soon as you get an advert break, it's like, we want to be the loudest ad out there so everyone hears us.
Yeah, so annoying.
So you could learn exactly every detail about this DFS sale from the kitchen.
And that's exactly why. They want the person in the kitchen who might be wanting to buy new kitchen equipment to hear the kitchen equipment being advertised on the TV. That's in the other room.
DFS is sofas.
Oh, the sofas. Yeah, exactly. Well, sofas don't quite work, but...
to put in the kitchen.
Well, you never know.
I'm gonna flambe my food from the comfort of my chair.
That would be hella dangerous.
Selling special low grills.
For like armchair grilling.
Yeah, well, I think someone's missed a trick there. Armchair grilling.
How would you clean all the spitting fat off the armchair? That'd be the trouble. It would probably smell quite bad after a while. You'd have to have special covers. Yeah, washable covers. And you wouldn't have far to go to get the cover into the washing machine, really. It'd be right there.
Just fatophobic material. Or whatever you'd call it. Some kind of nanofiber that just lets the fat run straight up. So all
fatophobic
really
line stuff.
Is to design your kitchen a bit like a wet room, so the floor can just pool up fat and it will go down a special fat drain.
I think really there's as much fat as you fit. Like, what sort of cooking are you doing exactly? Where there's like gallons of fat flying everywhere.
The whole floor is a deep fat fryer.
That's why you need a couch, so you can not stand on the floor where you'll be toasted.
Exactly. You have to be committed to this style of cooking. Once you're in, you can only leave once everything has been fully cooked.
Because everything will be fully cooked whether you want it to or not.
Exactly.
Including your feet if you step off the couch.
It's like a gladiatorial cooking.
Would you float across the sea of boiling fat? Oh no, you were talking about a deep fat fryer. Should be oil, wouldn't it? The kitchen surface is oil. Or the kitchen floor is boiling hot oil.
Just all oil.
So basically, it's like the inverted fish and chip shop where the oil tanks are on the floor.
Yes.
And then and then the people serving are standing on or they're sitting on armchairs that are floating on the oil. And then whenever they have to grab you some cooked fish, they have to lean down with tongs and grab it out of the floor.
It's the natural experience, like the fish are swimming in the.
That's true, exactly.
The battered cods are just swimming around, ready to go. You just catch them out amongst the reeds made of chips.
Wow.
I'm painting a picture here of like a chip shop countryside.
The most terrifyingly dangerous chip shop possible.
How's everyone doing?
Yeah, okay. Managed to avoid that kind of cooking this week, so I'm good.
Yeah. I've had pretty boring food this week. It's been like a lazy week for food, just having like oven food, frozen oven food, like Kievs.
Frozen oven food.
Chicken Kievs.
Kievs are alright, nice and cheap. Get them from Iceland or wherever.
Exactly, they're a good low hassle food.
What have I had that's nothing too exciting? I last weekend discovered a Japanesey place that does delivery, so which we had over at Hose, which is really close to me. So if anyone wants to come and have Japanese food, we can order it in. They had all kinds of stuff.
Common,
we
like the Japanese takeaway.
No, they're not. But it worked out really really well. They had a nice container for the yakisoba or whatever I had, and they had they did sushi as well. So it was pretty cool.
I like yakisoba and yaki.
So we got
too.
Yeah, me too. I think I like the thinner ones, but the
I like the thick
soba
noodles.
ones,
The thick noodles are awesome.
The udon, udon are the thick ones, aren't they? Yeah, they're super tasty too. Yeah. So we got Japanese food, and we watched what was it? Bad Lieutenant. Do you remember when we saw that?
Oh,
the
no.
Nick Cage film. Yeah, I hadn't seen that since we watched it. That film is genius.
It's so weird, but it's pretty funny.
Why are these fucking iguanas on my coffee table?
It's like once you make it through the
iguanas?
first third of the film, I think then everything starts getting weirder and weirder. It's pretty great.
Yeah. And I've forgotten it had freaking X to the Z exhibit in it.
Yeah.
But for no reason.
He's the man. He's awesome.
Man.
He lifts that film.
Yeah, that was pretty classic.
Actually, well, no, Exhibit doesn't lift the film. He just sort of maintains a level of crazy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, so that happened. How
was your? Did you have puppy times?
Well, I was stalked by a piano this week.
Last week, really.
Oh, right. Well, what happened?
Yeah. There was a piano just sort of turned up outside my house while we were out. Just a piano, just there, outside the front, like on the.
Well, like an outright piano?
On the grass and by the path outside the front of the house. Yeah, just an upright, just there. And it was like there for 24 hours.
Okay.
Overnight, in the rain, just a piano. And then just as mysteriously, it disappeared.
What the hell? Surely that would have made noise, like, if they're heavy, aren't they? I don't know. How did it manage?
Well, we were out when it was moved, I guess. But so we didn't notice its arrival or its departure. But it's just about who leaves a piano in the street overnight in the rain?
Do you think it was different people that took it away than who brought it? Like, do you think the council took it away or something?
I've got no clue.
Okay.
It's like the only sort of hint of who it might have been is that it may have been one of my neighbours, because whilst we were in the garden yesterday, we sort of I overheard over the fences, some fences away, that someone said, "Oh, it's not like moving a piano." It's like, "Oh, it was you."
Oh, it was you. Well, maybe they'd seen it too, and
and then they moved it.
They were joking about it, yeah, or they were joking about the mysterious wondering piano. Who moved it. Yeah.
I was wondering if it was be the calling card of a master criminal. So in the middle of the night, they just as they're about to do something terrible, or after, whichever. There's just they just play a single low E.
Okay. So whenever they have to do anything nefarious, they also have to organise carting the
they get
piano
a professional. Yeah, a classically trained musician to just come by and start playing sinister. That's
not sinister at all.
It's like 1930s robbing.
Did anyone try and play it? That's what I want to know.
The cover was locked.
Oh right,
so I couldn't even be the nefarious criminal.
Oh god damn it! What's the fun of random pianos if they're unplayable?
Exactly. We did have we were watching the telly with we can see out the window. We did notice that a few of the neighbours from across the road sort of just came over and had a look at it and were sort of peering at us, thinking, "It's you, isn't it? Why have you left a piano?" It's got nothing to do with us, mate. It's it just happens to be outside my house.
So mysterious. You'll never know the answer, I guess. Now at this point,
we'll never know unless it turns up again. Queuing at the door for food.
Do you think it'll turn up and it'll be slightly closer this time? It'll gradually move towards the door.
and then one day it'll be unlocked and someone will press a key and it'll explode.
Delinton.
See, that's what you lure you into a false sense of security. It's like, oh, it's just the piano. And then when it lets you play it, oh no.
What do you think is like a Trojan piano? Like inside there's a bunch of Greek warriors who are going to
mighty warriors. As soon as it reaches
this piano is
steal my nachos.
Mighty warrior. Indeed. There must be some reason for it, but because they're hard to get into houses and things and to get upstairs and things and just No, exactly. It's like it must have taken some doing just to get it there. They must have picked that spot.
Thought, we'll deal with this tomorrow.
Oh, fuck it. Yeah.
We did wonder if it was there long enough. Maybe we should have just taken it and put it as a bizarre ornament in the back garden. So it probably can't be in good nick if it's just being left out in the rain.
No, it's got to be, unplayably fucked, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Surely it's totally out of tune and... Yeah.
Possibly warping in places. And
Indeed. Probably not good.
Poor piano. This is like a piano shelter. Like the lost dogs.
What, for abandoned pianos?
Yeah.
What happens when they put them down, though? It's there's too much... There's not enough space for the new pianos coming in. We have to get rid of these old
yeah,
pianos.
but then they sell... Then they can be lent to the movie business for dropping on things.
Oh, true, exactly.
I don't think that's exactly lent. I want that back after you're done completely destroying it.
That's a good point. I suppose that is putting them down.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you had to get rid of a piano, you would have to do that, though, wouldn't you? You can't just leave it somewhere. You'd have to somehow... it would be an expense, but you'd have to hire a crane and drop it on a dump or something.
I just want to hear what it sounded like.
Exactly.
In person. Do you reckon if you drop an untuned piano, then it makes a worse noise than if you drop a tuned piano?
Probably not. I don't know though. Do you think if you drop a really high quality grand piano, or if you drop a cheap piano, that one of them makes a nicer sound?
Get classy chaos.
Yeah.
A classy cacophony of piano.
Like a Steinway or something. If you drop that.
It's it's designed so as it's falling, the wind rushes through a specific vent underneath, so it plays a tune.
That'd be amazing. The falling aero vent of piano death.
That would be amazing. Someone needs to invent that. Or at least some instrument. I wonder if there is an instrument you could just drop. And while it's falling, stuff happens.
Well, I don't know. I suppose for a flute or something,
would in theory make some kind of noise at some point. Yeah. Not any tune or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. They need a lot of wind instruments need a certain, I don't know, embouchure.
That's true. Around
into a trumpet, you have to have a certain. You have to make the reed work in a sax. Maybe flute you'd get something out of if the wind blew over the opening, whatever you want to call it. Just right. Didgeridoo, you might. Oh no, even then you have to go whing into it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would make any noise. No. We're just air blowing for it.
It'd just be.
That's a bit disappointing that you can't
if you cut a hole in the right place.
I'm not even sure how those actually work. So.
They have a bellows, don't they? You have to actually pump bagpipes. Yeah, you have to pump it back and forth, right? To power the bellows. So I don't think one continuous rush of air would, unless you reverse engineer it.
Falling in the right direction. Might be a good shout. Into that.
I don't think a harmonica would get enough terminal velocity to actually make the noise.
Would it be if it was spinning as it fell? Imagine, just assuming that it works, right? So it's falling down one way and it's going, and then it flips over, so it's got the other side, and then it does the inhale noise. So if it's spinning, it's like. No?
Physics. I don't know, it could work. I mean, you could try it by if terminal velocity wasn't enough, you could just attach it to the side of a car and see what. Of course, you would be able to hear it very well from all the wind, but
that would be really funny.
Well, that'd be the most annoying car. We're covering harmonicas, so as it's driving along, it's going.
Oh, this is how it has to be done.
That'd be so great.
Right, if anyone wants to send into the Saladcast a harmonica, I'm sure we can tape it to a car.
Well, it has to be done, right? Surely.
It's got to be tried.
The harmonica.
New mission in life. No longer to be a piano criminal, but to be an auto harmonica. Harmonica.
You could arrive because you have to transport your piano to the crime scene. So you could arrive there in your harmonica and deposit the piano.
We need a Robco name for this invention.
I think you just came up with it, didn't you?
Harmonica.
Exactly.
It's got no fucking...
Yeah, harmonica.
Fucking harmonica.
Harmonica, fucker.
A harmonic fucking car. No.
Wind fucker.
Wind fucker.
That's basically what it's doing.
There we go.
Engine note
Robco's
fucker.
trademark. Yeah, it might have to be an electric car to get more out of the sound. Are we moving on to news?
I don't know how we can top that.
Okay, fair enough. News. What's been going on in the world of techno, video, game, thinking machine games?
So before we get started on, I suppose, what is the biggest news, there's some stuff we missed 2 weeks ago that might be of interest.
Old
but probably not
news!
since we missed it.
Yeah, well...
Olds,
I didn't,
in fact.
Olds, not news.
Olds!
So, that Dust 514 game, right?
Yeah, what about it?
Nobody really cares about.
No.
They finally making the sensible choice and bringing it to PC.
No.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. There will be a PC release of it.
I hadn't seen any mention of that on any of the Eve feeds.
No, I still get the 514
the
newsletters because that one time I tried it.
Even though that's linked to my Eve account as well.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't get any shit about 514.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it? Like, you'd think that players of Eve might occasionally want to be...
Well, now they might.
Yeah.
Now that it's coming to PC, so they can actually care.
I don't know. That just seems like, that was the route they should have gone in the first place. But I suppose maybe they got some funding off Sony to do it. But
maybe.
I don't know. But that's happening. And also, it's not something I've researched that much, but I stumbled upon this and thought it was kind of awesome. There's a game... Have you heard of a game called Hover Revolt of Gamers?
No.
Not to be confused with Hover, that old Windows game where you're that stupid flag collecting hovercraft. This is apparently a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio.
Really? Spiritual as in, who's making it? What?
I don't know. It's not Smilebit, it's not the original teams, but they have got Hideki Naganuma on board to do music.
That's crazy. Okay, so what's the deal?
Well, I don't know exactly, as I say. Sort of stumbled upon it, not a lot is known at this point.
Do we know, does it have inline skates and graffiti and shit, or...?
It seems to be like, from the graphical style is in that sort of vein, the sort of cel-shaded sort of
cel-shaded, yeah.
Yeah. It's made by... Right, sorry, I'm just looking it up. It's on Greenlight, and it's made by a studio called Midgar Studio.
A Western studio?
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's not like a Japanese...
It's called Midgar, it might be Japanese.
That's true.
Futuristic free-run parkour game.
Oh, not
inspired by JSR and Mirror's Edge.
No skates, just running.
Yeah, it's just running.
Or maybe hovering.
Person? Third person? It's called Hover Revolt of Gamers.
Yeah. It's a weird.
That's a terrible name. Yeah. Jet Set Radio is an amazing name. Hover Revolt of Gamers, not so much.
Well, they couldn't just really use Hover as a problem because of that Microsoft thing.
Yeah, it's obviously that'd be why.
But then Hover doesn't make a lot of sense if you're running, unless they're on Hover shoes, a bit like Shadow. I don't know.
They do look a bit. They have trails, so they are like Shadow shoes.
So Shadow the Hedgehog, what that game should have been. Maybe.
I don't think that game should have been anything.
I
think it succeeded in doing what it was designed to do.
Which was bad.
Yeah, which was make Shadow a character, and they did it, but it was terrible, and no one wanted it.
Make Shadow a thing and give him rock music, because that's cool right now. Give him guns.
It didn't make any sense anyway.
No.
In any game apart from the first one. Like in Sonic Adventure 2, it makes perfect sense. It fits in with the story. And then after that, why does he exist?
Because
at the end of Sonic Adventure 2, he basically sacrifices himself to save the world.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the story.
But they never kill anyone ever in the Sonic universe.
And then, like, in Sonic Heroes, the next game, I guess, he just turns up. And it's just like, well,
yeah.
I guess it is slightly explained. If I vaguely remember when I played Heroes, I think it is very slightly explained where it's like he's actually a clone, but he just acts exactly the same as naturally.
Right. Because in theory, they could make as many of him as they wanted because he was, like, tank bred or whatever.
Yeah. So it's just like, oh, he's just a clone. But he still seems to have the same personality and desires, and, like, he gets along with the people in the same way. Rouge and E and whatever.
Mm.
Fucking stupid.
It is pretty dumb.
But then again, otherwise, who would you have had as the third person in the evil team?
Well, the thought though.
That wouldn't have made any sense. It has to be the fast one, because Rouge is the fly one and E is the strength one.
I guess.
So you need the fast one, which is basically why Shadow existed in
Metal
Sonic Adventure
Sonic.
2, really.
Metal Sonic.
Yeah, Metal Sonic's not a character. It's just a robot.
His motives are clear. Well, so is E!
Yeah, but he's a character and a robot.
Yeah.
Because he developed the character, and we haven't got. I guess we're going to see that when we actually get around to playing that far in Sonic Adventure.
Yeah.
The origins of E.
Gamma.
Something Gamma. I can't remember the number.
102,
probably.
I say. Yeah. Anyway, Sonic. Yeah, it's done. Like, I hate how they don't like sort of kill off characters because it's like Blaze is one they sort of.
Well, she didn't need to die at any point.
She didn't. Well, she didn't die, but the whole point of like Rush was that it was
an alternate universe, basically.
Yeah, and then they sort of cut that off, and then she's just sort of in the next one.
In what next one, though?
In Rush Adventures, he turns up.
Yeah, but that's because they go to the same universe again.
Do they?
Because like they have to get the Soul Emeralds again. Were they Soul Emeralds in the first one, or was it just the Chaos Emeralds?
Yeah.
Because in Rush 2, you have to get both. You have to get the Soul Emeralds and the Chaos Emeralds because you need all of them.
Hey guys, E3 is in a couple of weeks, and we might hear more about Sonic Boom.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet on it.
Come on.
You never know.
It's due out this year, apparently.
That's still quite a long time.
What platforms is that thing on? Everything?
Wii U.
Yeah, Wii U.
Oh, just Wii U?
Yeah, it's the last in the exclusive deal
right, okay.
Sega did with Nintendo to put Sonic stuff on Wii. Exclusive!
So
that's happening. So yeah, that was the news we had missed section.
Right.
The old section.
The olds, yeah.
So now for the news!
Hey guys, you know that X-Phone thing?
Yeah. That console, that thing where you can like watch TV and like you can talk to it and it changes the TV channel for you.
Which, it totally doesn't do in the UK, but whatever. You know that Kinect thing that's supposed to enable you to do that is an integral part of the core philosophy of that console.
I know.
Yeah, it's not anymore. They're getting rid of it, essentially.
The only thing that's done about this is basically that no one really gives a shit about Kinect.
Well,
but
no, Kinect
what they do give a shit about is voice commands. So just make the voice commands work with a headset, and then you've solved like 50% of the whole problem.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's always been a bit of a surprise why they haven't allowed you to do that in some way. Like, even from the original one, like from the Xbox. Like when you're having to shout at your Kinect in order to do stuff in Mass Effect, which was dumb anyway.
Yeah.
But, you had to have a Kinect in order for that to work. You couldn't just wear a headset.
I guess,
like, admittedly, some of the voice recognition might be actually being done on the Kinect peripheral, maybe.
Well, and maybe it would probably bone you up for like person recognition.
Definitely.
Because if it can't see you, it can't determine who's talking. So it can't determine if it's just someone yelling at you across the room and fucking up your game.
There's a lot of reasons why the camera is useful, but it's just the big thing is they're dropping Kinect as you must have one thing. So they will be releasing a SKU or whatever you want to call it that doesn't come with one and will obviously sell at a cheaper price because of it.
So
I'm sort of disappointed by this.
Do you see this coming or not? Because I didn't.
No, I didn't think they would turn around on it. I mean, I understand why they have. I don't exactly have a problem. It hasn't exactly, enamored itself with the users that much. Partly because there's no real app support for it. There's no real game support for it.
Naturally.
I mean, Xbox Fitness is the closest thing to a game that really works on it. I suppose you could, the Collect Sports Rivals, we haven't really had that much
theoretically works
experience with. Yeah, it's supposedly okay, but it's probably just not a very good game. So it's sort of, it's never really proven itself. The bit where I'm disappointed is I think it is a brilliant device for the voice recognition stuff for getting around the system is great when it's supported, but the apps don't support it very well. The third party stuff. I love the fact that it's, I can just sit down in front of it and it can see me. I love that I can turn it on and off with a voice. Even GNOME is okay with using the voice commands to do things. I think it really works in that regard, and I'm worried that by it not being an integral part of the system anymore, that some of these really cool stuff just is going to get forgotten. And I really hope that doesn't happen, because it's awesome.
Yeah. I don't think anyone at Xbox wanted this to happen. It's obviously, I think it's just numbers that somebody higher up has been like, oh, yeah, we're losing market share, and our next competitor are like 50 quid cheaper. Can we put something out that's 50 quid cheaper?
Yeah, it's a perfectly sensible business decision, really. They need to regain ground. They need to do it relatively fast if they don't want to repeat what happened to Sony in the last generation. I mean, it took Sony a good couple of years after PS3 came out to sort of get it together and start, putting out a competent product. And that was when I waded into PS3, and it was an okay time.
Yeah.
I think that they are very worried about making a similar sort of mistake, so they are reacting what is an unprecedented speed.
Well, basically, this is a totally, not really a theory at all or anything, but basically they boned themselves by not releasing Halo when the Xbox One came out, because then everyone would have had to buy the Kinect for regardless, because everyone wanted Halo. But because they didn't have a Halo at launch, it was like a year later, everyone was hedging their bets, and it turned out they were hedging them right. Yeah, because it's like, it's now not going to have a Kinect.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not like PS4 had a giant exclusive at launch or anything.
No, it was just cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't think PS4 has a library behind it that I'm really interested in, unless I really wanted to play Assassin's Creed or Infamous.
Yeah, but you could play both of those. Well, you could play Assassin's Creed on Xbox, right?
Yeah, but the PS4 is the superior version.
Yeah, but...
And that's probably going to be true of Watch Dogs. That's probably going to be true of Destiny.
It's
There's
true.
a lot of these third-party things coming up that are probably going to be best on a PS4.
It seems like Destiny is kind of leaning PS4 direction, which is interesting.
Yeah. And naturally, you don't hear a lot about the PC versions of these things because, there's not a lot of money in talking about PC.
Yeah, but those are probably the best versions, in theory.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah. But... Well, Destiny really is console exclusive, isn't it? Or is it PC?
No, I think there's a PC version coming.
Seriously?
Not at the same time.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, but it's not going to be like Titanfall.
Because Destiny's going to be back, previous gen as well. It's going to be on the 360 and PS3, which is strange.
Weird.
So yeah, I really hope this doesn't derail what they're doing with this technology, because I think it's awesome. And it's it's pushing stuff in the right direction. It's just the little things. I use it all the time. I use voice commands all the time when it works. And so it's quite impressive when I don't use the Bing tool for anything because I don't have the video services. I don't have a Netflix or anything like that. And that's where the Bing stuff comes into its own. Because it is quite impressive just how accurate the voice recognition can be during that. Like, you can ask it. We tried some random stuff the other day, like just on a whim. It's like, movies by Brad Pitt. And it goes, all right, yeah, okay, fine, I can understand that. And finds a ton of films with Brad Pitt in it. It's like, okay, I didn't know you could do that. I thought it would just search by title or something and find films called Brad Pitt.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's all in the software, really, isn't it? I mean, with the software, the voice recognition is good. And then you've got the parsing
it's just
or
Bing
whatever.
Returning decent results for whatever you ask it. And it's just, it's parsing it into a string, and then that string is sent to Bing, and then Bing gives you results. It's like, it's not... But it's just the fact that it's sort of surprising that works as well as it does.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. I mean, it'd be interesting to me. I mean, it's too late now, but it'd be interesting to me to know how much of the functionality that you like of the Kinect that you could get with some cheaper hardware, like a basic webcam or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, how much of the Kinect stuff is to support like high fidelity games?
It's that multi mic that makes the big difference in the Kinect.
Yeah, the multi mic. Yeah,
that only really a headset would be good enough for. They would need you need a clear headset with a clear version of your voice in order to make it work without the noise cancelling multi-mic setup
array thing. Yeah. But I wonder if the multi-mic array thing is the expensive part. Probably not. It's probably all the
cameras probably reasonably expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool if obviously it's all hindsight and stuff, but I mean, they could have potentially could have built the multi-mic into like the front of the console or something, or
potentially, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
less likely to be moved.
Yeah. Anyway.
I wonder if they will do that, a cameraless mic array for people who do want that, because the Kinect still raises privacy questions for some.
Yeah, they could make a SKU that had that built into the box and without the camera, and then you could get back quite a lot of the voice control functionality to some extent of the dashboard without needing the expensive camera and shit.
I just want to see the app side improve is my biggest gripe though. It's and probably where a lot of the functionality of Kinect is kind of lost. Because the YouTube app, for instance, it's an okay design, but it's shonky for search. I mean, really very shonky at search. Because you get that terrible alphabet thing that only lets you move left and right rather than having a proper keyboard for starters. So it's a pain in the ass to type using a controller. Yeah. I don't know if it's support. I don't think it supports smart glass either, so I don't think you can type on your phone in that box. I'm not sure. But you can't use voice search, which is that's the biggest shitter, because that would just be so nice to be able to say something and it just fill in that box, and then that gets around the problem of it having a terrible controller interface.
Yeah, I mean, it seems obvious, doesn't it? I mean, if Netflix can do it, I don't see why.
Well, this is the thing. I can't remember which way around it is. It's either Netflix. I think Netflix is one of the better ones. It might be the Amazon Prime app, where they don't properly support voice controls, and the stuff that's on screen is all labeled as Selection 1, Selection 2. If you bring up the Xbox Select shortcuts, so you can't actually just say what's on the screen anyway. You have to probably say Xbox Select so it highlights what the things actually are, and then say that number. And it's just shonky. It's not thought through. But then you get people like iPlayer who haven't launched their app yet, but have said that the reason why the Xbone doesn't have iPlayer yet is because they're trying to support Kinect properly. And it's that's a good thing. It's okay, it's delaying the release of the iPlayer app, but it's nice to know that
they're working on
thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is still, and Patrick Kleppitt sort of summed this up pretty well in the video he did for Giant Bomb a little while back. There are some definite challenges still remaining about how people approach UI design in a way that is both controller friendly, hand friendly, and voice friendly. The voice friendly adds another wrinkle that I don't think anyone is really prepared for yet.
I mean, it's a tough problem, but I mean, people have made such good progress. I mean, Microsoft stuff is really good. It's not just the Xbox; they've even got that Cortana thing on the Windows phone.
Cortana looks really cool.
Yeah,
I'm really hoping that comes out, and I'm hoping they make use of that across eventually, I guess it will go to multiple platforms. It won't just be a Windows Phone thing, but
no, it'll definitely be on Surface and stuff. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know how they'll integrate it with Windows, but they will, I guess, because you got Siri on really iPad, right? So they've got to. They've got
really
to match
the time where the 3-screen thing becomes a reality. So I can use Cortana to make a reminder of myself, and it puts it on the calendar. But then my Xbox knows about that, so not necessarily so I can access the calendar through my Xbox, but so the Xbox is aware to little pop up a reminder or something when that thing is due. Say I'm supposed to be somewhere and I'm in the middle of a Plants vs. Zombies game. It could just go, hey, you should be doing this. It's that's kind of where things should go, I think.
Yeah, synergy. But just
It doesn't have to be like extreme. Just little things. Just edge your way there. Like, as I say, I don't think having a full-on calendar or an email viewer on your Xbox might be particularly great, because the phone will be better at that.
Yeah, you want to tailor it to... I mean...
But, just notification stuff could be a good place to start. I don't know, I think Microsoft, given the speed at which they've been doing things over the last few months, they are in a good position to really pull off something special. Whereas, I don't know, has anything happened on the PS4 since it launched? Like, they did some patchwork to sort out the friends list, perhaps, for people who have enormous friends lists.
Right, yeah.
But I don't know. I really don't know what's changed in PS4 land. I don't think a lot.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they haven't had so much to fix, as it were. But still. I mean, because it was a bit of a worry when PS4 was... because the Xbox 360 had a much better interface for, like, everything online related than the PS3. I think generally accepted that that's true. So, and then the PS4 was kind of playing catch up there, but people seem to not have a big problem with what they got. So, I think it's more like because Microsoft, the Xbone got kind of basically they lost functionality basically, didn't they? Like all the party system and stuff that everyone loved from 360 was all kind of fucked up, and they've gradually been fixing it.
And it's still a little screwy. Like all that stuff is still a little clunky compared to how it used to be.
Yeah.
But at least they were aware of it, and they've come out and said, look, we know this stuff isn't as good as it perhaps should be, so we'll continue to work at it. And, they did do the little update back in March to sort out some of the problems with it.
I mean, Sony don't really have the tradition of, like, completely overhauling their whole console interface every, 2 years or whatever.
No.
So, you never know what will happen with the Xbone over its lifetime. I mean, it seems unlikely that they will do a big dashboard update, even in the medium future, because they're so obsessed with...
the tile thing is a reasonable direction, but do you send the stuff about Windows 8.2?
What are they doing?
They're putting back a traditional start menu.
Yeah, I saw that. Now that looked cool because it's got
sort
live
of blending
tiles in
the blending the live tile world with.
I think that's cool,
and it's like that's a cool idea.
I might actually
get back to full start or full Metro mode. Perhaps would be useful as well, but
I think you can totally.
Yeah.
I think I might have to go for that. Install that when that comes out. Maybe 8.2 might be worth a.
Well, I don't really have a problem with 8 as it stands now. It's super quick.
But you don't use 8 though, do you?
No, but I have done. I've
but not enough to upgrade your PC to 8.
Well, no, it's not really. I'd have to pay money, and it wouldn't really gain me anything other than perhaps speed.
I guess that'll be true of 8.2 as well.
Yeah, the advantage isn't really there for me to just to do it. Really, I don't really gain anything. Plus, I'm not really a big fan of doing an OS upgrade, especially a big version upgrade. It's fine on the devices that have all been planned to do this, but Windows always seems, I don't know, like too much of a complex beast, and updates from when you were upgrading to XP, I remember that being kind of a shitty process, or that it went wrong a lot. And then when 7 came out, it's like, well, it's not really, you can do it, but there were some horror stories about, the upgrade process not really working, so you have to install it fresh anyway. And it's just all that stuff kind of stays with me. So it's like, I don't really want to do an upgrade, and I don't really want to go through the hassle of just doing a complete wipe either.
Well, at some point you should, I don't know why it's such a big problem to do a wipe. I feel like it used to be, but I don't think it should be any longer. I think that's probably...
I end up running so much software, though.
But
my music environments, all the setups for the podcast.
Yeah, but how much...
Everything is just so.
Yeah, but how much of that is how much of that settings could you just copy the folder and it would retain all the settings?
I don't know. Music stuff can be a bit of a pain in the ass.
Probably is a bit,
because you have to install all the VSTs individually, and
There's like a lot of other stuff. It's not like how it used to be the registry problem in the old days, where it's like if you just tried copying shit, it would just lose all the registry entries and then it'd be fucked.
Oh yeah.
That just doesn't happen any longer.
Yeah, people don't rely on the registry quite so much. And any apps,
and I guess like upgrading
to get hold of again.
If you're going to XP from like, I don't know, 98 or something, that's like a major version change. And similarly, if you're going from XP to, I don't know, 7 or something, that's a major version change. But Vista 7 and 8 and 8.2, they're all the same version and major version of Windows. They're version 6 of Windows, aren't they? It's like Vista's version 6.0, and then 7 is 6.1, and 8 is 6.2, I believe. Yeah, I believe so. So if you go to your, CMD or whatever, it'll, and on Windows 7, it will say Microsoft Windows version 6.1.
Huh. I figured 7 would be a major change, given that they ripped out most of what Vista did.
No, I think it's the same kernel. I
thought
that, like Vista was a big
like Minwin and stuff like that, and that was a relatively large change. Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter anyway.
Anyway, never mind. but yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's a bit scary doing a big operating system upgrade. I mean, given that's
why I still have my old machine and I made a VM of it, just because, it's like some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's also because like actually having VMs of old operating systems is actually useful in other ways.
Yeah, true.
Rather than trying to install them, which is a problem, especially the older they get.
Yeah.
When you're out of 32-bit land or whatever.
32-bit land. Any more news?
So yes,
let's go back to Microsoft.
Any more news apart from that one news story that we talked about for like 45 minutes or something?
There is another big bit of Microsoft-y stuff. Like to go alongside with this, they basically announced that they're changing a lot of the Xbox Live rules. I say a lot of them. A few of the key details. For instance, you no longer need a gold account to have access to entertainment apps. Finally.
Oh, right, like Netflix.
A long time ago, yeah. You no longer need gold to have access to those, which is... It was unbelievably dumb that was still there, really.
Yeah.
You're not competing with any other platform if you're charging for that. So, well done for them to finally realise that. And they also mentioned games with gold, and some of the gold deals would be returning. So Games with Gold was their version of the PS Plus library stuff, but sort of a pansy version of it. And it's like, that will be coming to Xbone. I don't know what they're going to be offering on that. Probably some of the smaller games that came out around launch. Hopefully Peggle. And then...
Oh, that'd be awesome. Free Peggle.
Yeah. So, I think they're starting to get the idea, but they've still got some work to do on the value proposition of gold.
How much is it these days? Is it like 40 quid?
It's still the 40 odd pounds. I think it's exactly the same as PS Plus.
Okay.
I think. So yeah, that's pretty much the Microsoft.
So that's the Microsoft news.
Apart from, if we wanted to talk Halo mini announcements, like Halo.
What
5
is the announcement then?
Halo 5 is a
and what was the name?
Surprise.
Guardians. Yeah, it's Halo 5 : Guardians. So I guess that's
Guardians.
Yeah, Guardians. Guardians of my ass. It's I guess it's the first. It's the first like numbered Halo game to have a subtitle.
That's true.
I was trying to figure that if that was true. I guess so.
Out of the numbered games, it is anyway.
Well, apart from
Halo 3 ODST,
yeah, that's like technically a different game, but it was still under the Halo 3 name for some reason.
Yeah, it's not one of the it's not one of the proper numbered sequels. So yeah, that's happened. And there's also this leaked thing called the Halo Master Chief Collection or something, which no one seems to know anything about, other than that the name is out.
Well, I'm pretty sure that I heard that it was just Halo 1 to 4 on Xbox One.
That would be pretty cool.
Which would be pretty hardcore, but I don't know.
It depends.
That
seems
like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, or it seems like they should do a lot of work to make that a good package.
Yeah, it depends how much.
You need to get them all to be like at least the same level like get them all up to at least Halo 3, and then Halo 4 being obviously better.
I guess, yeah. Get them up to some level of visual equality.
Would that imply doing like the Halo 2 Anniversary Edition thing?
Yeah,
basically.
Well, Halo 2 Anniversary Edition was that thing that was was one of the NT kernel leaks that he was saying that was going to happen by the end of the year. But maybe that's
as well.
Yeah, but maybe that's just part of this bigger collection.
Well,
thing.
yeah, you'd hope so.
But it is interesting, yeah. I want to see if they are doing an HD version of all of them, because that would be kind of cool.
You can probably squeeze a lot more money out of doing them individually, you'd think.
Maybe. There's a lot of game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
especially if Reach part of that is the other thing. Because Reach technically wasn't a numbered sequel, but it fits in between 3 and 4.
I think it was only the 4 main ones.
Intriguing. What else is happening?
Halo. Sure, there was some good stuff this week. Oh yeah, Unreal Tournament.
Oh yeah, what was that? I don't know what actually happened with that.
Oh, you don't know what happened, dude? So they're making They are. They're making a new Unreal Tournament.
They're basically releasing the UE4 development kit.
No, they already did that.
Saying, "Oh, okay, you people make Unreal Tournament for us."
No. So they've got like 8 full-time people on it apparently, and it's who are like core UT guys from with tons of experience and stuff. And the idea is that the entire development will be on GitHub in the open, and then anyone and everyone can contribute. So it's basically
what I said.
Yeah.
They're not making UT. Everyone else is going to make UT. Mainly because what's guaranteed to happen is that like the modding people, or whatever you want to call these people, because it's not exactly modding when you're working with the actual source code of the game, I guess.
Open source, I guess. Yeah.
With all these people, what will inevitably happen is they'll just make all the good levels that were from the old games, and that'll be it.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's pretty much all the work you need to do.
Well, presumably these 8 guys are going to need help on assets and sound and visuals.
Yeah.
Like, people to just make the art. That's where quite a large bulk of your team goes on these larger projects.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, obviously, I think they will be. Not all of the art will be epic. It will obviously they'll be open sourcing that stuff as well. So they'll need 3D modelers and designers and stuff to help out, just like coders, I guess. But they'll have to set a direction. I mean, it's not going to be total chaos.
Oh yeah, sure. Presumably
they have a plan.
8 will be like code reviewing everything.
What direction? There's no direction. It's just like it's Unreal Tournament. All it is an arena shooter. That's it. There's no actual specifics you need to have for Unreal Tournament. I mean, like not even the guns. Those could be whatever the fuck people want to make.
Oh, I don't know. Those are sort of. They've always kind of been the same throughout all the UT games, haven't they?
Which means that people will just make those.
Yeah.
Pretty much if you just wait long enough, people will make the entire of all the other UT games in this game, because that's...
Well, we can hope.
Well, yeah, but,
What's bad about that, though, Zach? That sounds awesome.
Well, what's bad about that is they probably won't. It's like...
Well, yeah, this is the thing. I guess this all hinges on the popularity of UT as a thing. Like, this comes back to our discussions about arena shooters in general, and are they viable? Are they? I mean, COD is the most arena shooter that there is, really.
It'd just be like
that's what's bad about it. Yeah,
I know that's the problem.
It would just be like some mod guy, one guy will make Facing Worlds in the new engine, and then everyone will just play that forever, and nothing else will get made. Because apparently that's all you need.
Well,
or whatever the towers level.
It's just that sort of recent history of arena shooters hasn't really been good. Like Shoot Mania hasn't exactly gone down well.
that wasn't really an arena shooter. That was like a weird skill game or something.
It sort of is, but yeah, I see your point. Nexus didn't exactly make splashes.
But UT is like the biggest one apart from Quake, isn't it? I mean, they're the big two, aren't they? I mean,
yeah.
And so the idea is it'll be free. As in free as in beer, and then eventually they'll have a store for maps and guns and things that people make.
They've immediately gone wrong though. You can't sell maps because then that fucks up playlisting and server access and stuff like that.
Which just means that the ones that everyone will play will be free.
Yeah.
Wherever they get them from.
There's like this maps are the one place where you can't do that.
This whole thing just makes no sense, really, from any kind of business model. They think they're going to make money like the Steam Workshop does for Team Fortress, but it's not going to happen.
That's what never happened with those games, was it? It's like, well, I suppose they can. They can gate that stuff. They can put like do what TF2 sort of do and have the official line of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so everyone gets all the maps, but you buy the aesthetics and stuff like that. Yeah. I reckon they will try and follow as close to a TF2 or Dota 2 model as they can.
But you remember when,
you cannot do that with the maps.
You remember when, like, StarCraft 2 was going to have a store for all its maps and you were going to make different games in the map editor because it was so powerful? That never happened.
No, that's true. Well, I guess that's because people just like StarCraft.
Yeah, exactly. They like playing the maps that are the good maps, and they only play the good maps, and they don't care about any other shit.
But that's what I mean. If you make the core game good, then people buy into all that aesthetic stuff. I mean, that's entirely how Dota 2 works, and it's popular.
I can't imagine
they just need something. They just need to do that and do it right.
I can't imagine a Unreal Tournament game having a store that will work. I can't imagine, like, in Team Fortress...
like one day, like, Combats, like, but you're only buying aesthetic stuff.
Well, the first problem with it is it's first person, so that immediately fucks up
I guess you can't really see your character, can you?
No. It still works for TF2 in theory.
It'd be like COD, I suppose. You'd have to have, like, gun skins.
Yeah, like,
I guess.
Counter-Strike.
You need a bacon skin. That's what you need.
But then the trouble with...
Bacon skins for your guns.
Yeah. How COD does it.
I don't know what, like... Are they just going to be selling, like model skins? Because it doesn't matter, like, that's the classic thing about, like, the Unreal, and it's quite, like, it's all the same hitbox, you just jam whatever model you want in there.
Well, here's the thing, are they going to make it? Well, I guess we don't know a lot about it, but what's the chances of them not making it first person? Like, do something like Loadout or Gears of War or even Unreal Championship.
I don't think they're going to have the control, are they, to like make a decision like that since it's open source and they're hoping that
come on, these 8 guys are going to have final say on everything. Presumably, they can let in what they want, and discard what they want.
I guess so, but do you think they're going to make a change, like make it third person? I don't know.
They'll have to define rules, otherwise the game won't get built.
Yeah, that's true.
There has to be some structure. I don't know. It's interesting. I think if they do go third person, I wouldn't be against that, because I quite liked Unreal Championship 2. That was a pretty cool game.
That was pretty cool.
It mixed things up in an interesting way.
Plants vs. Zombies works as well. That's kind of arena-ish.
And Epic have Gears of War, whose, multiplayer wasn't exactly unpopular.
No, that's true.
So,
I don't know what's going on with Gears of War.
Might not be FPS. Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, I think last we heard, Microsoft bought the IP, I think.
Off them? Oh, right, okay.
So Microsoft have control of Gears of War, but Epic have no contractual obligation to do anything with that. So they don't technically have Gears of War anymore.
Right, okay. That's cool.
Not an Epic thing.
But Microsoft haven't spun up a studio kind of 343 style to make Gears of War shit.
Not that we know about. Or not that I'm aware of, which is more accurate.
Well, maybe they'll say something at E3. I don't know what the big announcements at E3 are going to be. I guess there'll be a whole bunch of Destiny.
Presumably.
Yeah. I think
that's why that's the theory why Microsoft are releasing all this systemic news, I suppose. System news. Systemic. It's to get all this conversation out of the way, so on E3 they can focus on games. I guess
sounds good. Well, sounds like a good plan.
It sort of worked for them last time after they got the TV shit out of the way. Then they could just go, "Oh yeah, here's the actual bit you're interested in." So, except the TV shit was the first thing they said, which was bad
and annoyed everybody really badly.
Yeah. But you can still see the thinking.
Yeah,
we'll probably hear more about their TV side as well. There'll be some news about what the Halo TV series is and what else they're doing. That will happen.
Man, yeah. Do you think there'll be a whole bunch of the Halo TV series stuff, or like some teasers or something. It's got to have something because there'll be something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was over a year ago.
Some indication of when it might be happening.
I heard they were like selling that to a US network to broadcast.
Showtime.
Right.
I believe. Yeah, I think they need funding. I get the impression that they perhaps need more money for this than they realise. So it's like, if we let Showtime get involved, then perhaps we'll have enough funding to get this done.
But then it kind of, the whole like Xbox exclusive content thing goes kind of out the window at that point.
It's a bit weird.
Well, I guess it's worth it if you get the Halo brand. You know.
Oh yeah.
Revitalize the Halo
back
brand
eventually.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I guess for people like us, it doesn't matter because we can't exactly get Showtime, but so it'll just be on Xbox Video
eventually, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. What if they release it in across the world at the same time on the Xbox?
I don't know. I'd imagine they must.
Is it some of the people that were in that like Forward Unto Dawn? No, what was the thing called?
It was Forward Unto Dawn
that we watched. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what route they're going to take. We know very little. Because that story was sort of this happened a long time before Halo 4. Because some of the one of the characters in that comes back in Halo 4. So it's kind of the origin story, I suppose, of that guy.
Yeah, I guess.
I bet it's just unrelated to that, but might be have a similar feel. Possibly without the Master Chief stuff, I'd imagine. But...
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hope Master Chief isn't in it.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. He's definitely going to be in the game, that's for sure.
Yep, no avoiding that.
I mean, is it going to be related to the... I mean, I know we don't know, but obviously, I mean, we can speculate. Is it like kind of related to the kind of Halo 4, 5, 6 trilogy idea?
Oh, it must be. Sure. Oh, what, the TV series?
The TV series, yeah.
I don't know. They may try and do like a Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with it and like just have the odd reference.
Hold on. No, yeah. Okay.
You know, where it's like, for the most part, that series runs sort of parallel, but occasionally they drop in like a little, there's been reports of Thor crossing into multiple dimensions and stuff. Oh, okay, so this episode must happen like sometime after Thor 2 came out in the timeline.
Okay.
You know, they do stuff like that to try and keep the sort of timeline sort of in sync without necessarily affecting each other.
The things these writers have to do to make everything make sense, or at least half make sense.
Yeah, they are making it difficult for themselves in Marvel Land now. Did you hear? Speaking of stories, did you hear that the Star Wars thing?
What about it?
All of the games are not considered canon.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They uncanonized like everything.
They announced that everything apart from the movies is not canon, including all the books.
Which presumably means they're going on a completely different tack that would fuck all that stuff right up in the new films.
Well, I don't think...
So they had to just get it out of the way?
Well...
I thought the whole point was that things before... Like, surely all that Knights of the Old Republic stuff would be okay because it happened before. Couldn't they just...
Anything that happened in the past surely doesn't matter. Unless they want to, set up a new past,
I guess,
where they want to do some actual ancient history in the new film.
Maybe.
But then it's like, what even happened in theory? What happened in the now non-canon extended universe after the end of the film was just like the stupid war against those goddamn bug things, and that was like,
that's terrible.
Easily had some films, I guess. They could have expanded it.
The Republic Commando stuff, you mean, or what?
No. In the books.
Things? Oh,
yeah,
books, right.
Yeah, they're really dumb.
I have no knowledge of the books.
I think, I mean, I barely do. I've never read them or anything, but it sounds like a terrible idea having like an alien race from another galaxy. At that point, it's not really Star Wars. Like,
hey, you know what that sounds like? It sounds like Halo 4.
Oh, there you go.
It's like, I don't think it was necessarily that bad. Well, it wouldn't have even had. Well, no, I guess it would sort of had to have been that, but there was still like the transitional period with the end of the Empire and everything. I expect they'll probably go into that anyway. That's something that you probably can't avoid.
Yeah, they'll redo that. Yeah, they'll do. But they won't have like clone emperors and like Grand Admiral Thrawn and like giant. I don't know. Like
well,
super.
They might have some of the giant stuff.
They might do one of those things where they use some of the ideas from it, but change it.
Well, yeah.
Like when you do a
but
remake.
But it's just like, well, then what ideas are you not going to, like, which of these ideas, assuming they're going to use some of the ideas, what's like the determining factor for what they don't want to have any longer?
The one that stops them from doing the maximum amount of cheese.
Yeah, I guess.
Because, Disney.
You think it's going to be super cheesy?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not holding out much hope for these.
Does anyone have any idea of like what a suitable story might even be? I mean, they're bringing back the old cast, which is just like that's not a good sign.
Yeah, hopefully they won't be in it that much though. I mean, it's quite nice to have a link.
There's a whole massive cast of mostly unknowns, isn't there? Like supposedly taking up most of the lead roles.
All the young, the new generation. But then, so that is the fact that they've got the old cast just going to be like for a setup throwaway cheesy bit where it's like, oh look, here's mum and dad, and then they just like leave.
Yeah, presumably it'll be like the weird, I don't know, is it like the Obi-Wan ghost thing?
I guess, but that would be a bit of a like, we brought you all back so you could be ghost for 5 seconds.
Pretty much, I reckon.
I mean, an example of not with a whole cast, but an example of J.J. Abrams doing this is Leonard Nimoy in the Star Trek 2009 film. Like, he was quite key to the plot, and he wasn't in it that much.
Yeah.
But that was because, time travel. Are they really going to do time travel?
Like, maybe that's... But then they wouldn't have had the non-canon or the alternate universe stuff.
No,
then they could have just had the new film be an alternate universe.
So I'm ruling out time travel and alternate universe stuff.
I mean, time travel was only in the Star Trek because he was from the future, right? Leonard Nimoy was from the future. Spock was an actual character that was in the present from the future. Whereas I don't think we're going to have a situation where you've got like someone playing Luke Skywalker and then Mark Hamill is like, yo, dude, you're doing it all wrong.
I think the Star Trek route, actually, they did that well, but at the same time, it's like, slightly cringy. It's like, oh, okay, shit, you've just rebooted the entire universe, so you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
It does feel like the cheap way out, but at least Star Trek did it okay. I didn't mind that storyline. I thought that was... Yeah. It was as good as you could have probably have done it.
It was like they did okay with, like, barely explaining anything, really.
Yeah.
And then you didn't... Well, you didn't really care, I suppose.
No. I mean, red matter. Shit,
yeah, exactly. It was like, we came from a parallel universe into this one somehow.
Yeah.
I guess.
They definitely shouldn't have had him in the second goddamn Star Trek film. That was dumb.
No.
Yeah, that was a bit... They didn't need that.
No.
So then, like, the other question...
So the second film's just dumb in general.
Well, the other question for Star Wars is, like... Can they go... It's like... How much space is there going to be, I guess, is the question that I'm thinking about. Because it's like, you can't go bigger than the fucking Death Star. That's the biggest fucking thing you can have in space.
I kind of hope they do go small, actually, because that was sort of the problem with the... I don't know, it felt like the problem with the prequels is that they were trying too hard.
They just had, like, ridiculous fights where it's just, like, a million explosions happening all the time.
The prequels felt like someone was trying to make a point. It's like, well, we can do all this better now.
Yeah, we can have a million dudes on screen and they'll all be CG.
Yeah, and that's not the key to a good film, is it? Just make everything more.
No, exactly.
But it's like, in the Star Wars universe, it doesn't get bigger than the Death Star. Unless so they've got rid of all the extended fiction. So does that give them an opportunity to like make a super Death Star?
I don't know. Could there be something about bits of the Death Star have like landed in various places, and it's like these are?
I'm pretty sure it just completely evaporates when it blows up, or at least it looks like it.
Well, yeah.
I don't think bits come off that thing.
I mean, they already did the Death Star twice in the first 3 films. I mean, like I think they've exhausted the Death Star.
But it's like if you don't go bigger, then you can't, go big or go home.
Death Galaxy.
Because the only thing that's more powerful than the Death Star is the Sun Crusher, and that's tiny, but it's just powerful.
Red matter.
Yep, exactly.
There was that chompy thing that wasn't as powerful as the Death Star, but was
things.
but that was okay.
They're they're boring because they're like super slow.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Purinix planet.
But that means you can have a big fight scene around them without having to really explain why this thing is so slow.
Yeah, but they don't even make an interesting backdrop. It's just like a giant factory, basically.
Yeah, it's not that good. Yeah, you can't beat the Death Star. They have to come up with something else. I think that I don't know how much space.
That's why I think like a smaller plot is probably a better idea. You know,
but it's like this is the problem that I'm saying.
But then is that Star Wars?
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you don't have space, is it Star Wars?
But you'd have space.
Yeah, well, if you don't have big space battles.
I heard they started filming in like Saudi Arabia or somewhere, or Abu Dhabi or somewhere, because they couldn't film in Tunisia because Tunisia is like a bit dodgy at the moment. But then like Tatooine, god damn it, why? I mean, does Tatooine have to be in every Star Wars film? I mean, like the best Star Wars film has no Tatooine in, right?
That's where there'll be Anakin too.
Well, it'll be where Luke Skywalker lives now, probably.
Why would he go back there?
But
why? He hates sand. It's coarse and rough, and he gets. Oh no, that's his dad, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah. He didn't really care that much.
I suppose he grew up in it.
He never really expressed any opinions about any planets, I guess. He was just like, "Oh, I'm in space now. Well, okay,
that's cool, I guess."
Yeah, I don't know. Why would you retire to? Anyway, Tatooine. I don't.
He owns property there. I guess maybe. Inherited from his uncle when they all died. I'm not sure how property law works in the Star Wars universe.
You think the savior of the galaxy is like, let's go back to the old homestead where where everybody was vilified.
Well, he could have done like the Obi-Wan where he retired into seclusion or whatever as a hermit.
Yeah, but he was doing that. He was doing that A, to hide, and B, to watch over Luke, right?
And you don't know what they've rebooted into the Star Wars universe now that they have to hide from.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the threat in this universe? What is left over?
Because it's like you're meant to, you fucked up the Emperor, so maybe there's more. Maybe there's 2 new Sith because there's always 2.
Well, yeah. Well, there has to be a Sith. I mean, it seems obvious that the Adam Driver will play
balance
a
of
Sith.
the Force thing. They have to still be about, right?
But then the whole point of the end of that movie was they balanced the Force because Darth Vader was the balance. And it balanced it evenly. It made it actually even instead of the good side being overall powerful. It was like, why did you not see that coming? Get into a discussion about Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
But
the whole balance thing is kind of like a fucked up thing to be anyway, because it's like, surely you want it to
not be balanced.
It's the good guys, you want it to be good. And it's like, but they're always talking about you need to bring balance to the Force, otherwise the shit goes all crazy. And it's like, so that means we're going to have to tolerate a certain level of evil forever.
And another thing I don't remember about Sith.
Or can you be dark side but just not evil? Can you just have dark side Force powers, but use them for good somehow? I bet that's the storyline.
The dark side corrupts, though, doesn't it? Is the whole idea? It's like you just get corrupted by dark side power for some reason.
I bet that's part of the storyline, like someone overcoming that shit. That seems like a really predictable thing to do.
I think maybe out of Star Wars, the one thing they could do with less of is just like the Force in the new film. That's something they could almost write out.
You're sort of right. The Force, in a way, is one of the least interesting mechanics of those films.
Well, it's fine when it's just used for fancy sword fighting and shoving things.
Yeah.
But when you actually have the lore of it, and it's like with the Sith. It's like there's always 2, but what if you kill both of them at once? Because they're both dead now. The Emperor and Darth Vader both died at the same time. So there's always have to be one to create the next one, or is the Sith just done?
Yoda's evil.
Fuck.
I don't think they have to pair up. I don't think they have to follow in sequence. Because, how dumb must they be in turn, over generations? The master is always betrayed by the apprentice once the apprentice gets a certain level of powerful because he's evil, funnily enough. So no master ever thought
managing this would be a nightmare. Because everyone's just constantly trying to backstab everyone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How they managed to put together the Death Star.
Well, that was the Empire. That wasn't really the Sith. So yeah, less Force, I guess. Fuck, I don't know. This film is going to be retarded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, I'm not. That's why. All of this is there doesn't seem to be much good coming out of our conversation.
Well,
that's why I'm slightly worried about it.
What we've basically determined from this conversation is there's no room for maneuver. They've which is sort of why you had to get rid of all the extended universe stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, even with just the 6 main films left, there's still no room to maneuver because they've drawn themselves to this nice conclusion.
If you can call it a nice conclusion.
It's a fairly nice conclusion. Everything blows up and the bad guys die.
In a forest with bears. Fuck that shit.
That's true. The conclusion was fairly nice, I guess. Well, the redemption of Darth Vader was the key. Like, that's the key arc through the whole of the original trilogy, isn't it? It's Darth Vader. And that's all sorted and done. So, yeah, I don't know. And everyone's like, woo! We saved the galaxy.
Jedi are pretty much dead, and, good times.
Are we going to see, like, some super old Jar Jar?
Does he die?
Yeah, what happens to Jar Jar?
I'm trying to remember.
I don't think he died.
Yeah, he must. Well, he becomes like the fucking counselor for Naboo in the Parliament, and then don't they all get killed by the Empire between 3 and 4
maybe
when the Senate gets destroyed?
I can't remember.
The Senate still exists though in 4, right? Because he talks about it. Like he says that generates sympathy in the Senate. Like it's in the first 10 minutes of the film, right? He's worrying about what the Senate are going to think. So I think the Senate still exists in a kind of no power kind of puppet kind of. Yeah, exactly. So oh no, that's right. And then Grand Moff Tarkin, the Peter Cushing character, announces that the Senate is going to be dissolved, and that's at the start of 4, right?
Right.
So maybe Jar Jar survives until 4.
Maybe we should actually go back and watch these films. I don't know. It's been too long for me to really remember any of this detail.
Well, it's been too long to remember very specific lines that refer to incredibly specific bits of lore.
Yeah,
I do remember most of the lines from the original trilogy,
yeah, exactly.
as I just demonstrated.
I think I know someone who can recite the films perfectly.
Scary. Yeah.
It's a skill, I'll give it that, but who?
So that was the Star Wars hour or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jesus, well, we're not even out of news yet.
No. What other news you got? Anyone got any other news?
Other news, well, let's talk about things that are not going to exist any longer. There's 2 separate things.
Okay.
Popularity
of Star Wars, number 1.
First thing that's not going to exist any longer, apparently, is Capture the Flag and Pilot Hunter in Titanfall PC.
Shit, yeah. That's
is that
weird.
Good?
That is. Well, they're kind of weird game types anyway. Pilot Hunter is okay. I don't mind. Pilot Hunter is fine, but it's
it removes it seems if you've played the normal game of Titanfall, it seems weird to remove the whole idea of the grunts and everything.
Yeah, because the grunts just become a distraction.
Apart from presumably you still need to kill them to get your Titan and stuff.
Yeah, you can still use them to speed up your Titan, and you can still use them to get your Titan core abilities.
Yeah, so it's just that just seems weird.
But they do act as a distraction. You can be killing a bunch of dudes, and a pilot will just come and gank you.
When does that not happen all the time anyway?
Yeah, exactly. That is Titanfall. But so yeah, I kind of see their logic that they are the weirder game types. Capture the Flag in particular is a strange game type in Titanfall.
It's the maps aren't symmetrical, and then you change sides halfway through.
Yeah, I mean they can be really interesting fights. Is the thing, but it just feels weird the entire time. The balance of how those games work can shift so fast and in a direction that one team is just totally unable to deal with. That it's is it really a fair game type?
Well, I heard someone suggesting that maybe it's just more for population. It's actually hard to find games in those game modes, so they might as well get rid of them and just move the population onto the other game modes to buff it up a bit more.
I just play Variety Pack most of the time.
Well, you're playing on the Xbox as well, so
yeah. Where these things
supposedly they aren't getting rid of them yet,
yeah,
or maybe at all.
But then there's one of the common complaints about Titanfall is its sort of lack of modes.
Well, I mean, supposedly they're going to introduce some new modes in the expansion, so
yeah,
maybe they're just going to get rid of the ones that the people don't like as much and hoping the new ones.
It's sort of a problem, isn't it? Because the sort of the nature of being on foot and in Titans and this whole duality, does that actually sort of screw up you being able to just replicate most of the game types that have ever been developed for these things?
What other ones are there?
Well, COD has the Counter-Strike style, set the bomb style modes if you want to. They have these one of the more interesting ones from some of the COD games was, I think it's called Headquarters. Oh no, Headquarters is the King of the Hill thing.
Yeah.
There's ones where you have to capture a point, and then once you've captured that point, you have to defend that point, and when you're in defending, you go into Counter-Strike 1 life mode.
Right.
And the other team only wrestles control away from you once all of your team is dead, or that they recap the point. Which is kind of interesting, because it's like for how the score is how long you had a point. And it's like, that's quite interesting.
That wouldn't be difficult to do in Titanfall.
No, I guess not, but that one's one of the more possible ones. But
what are the impossible ones?
I don't know.
What are these other game modes? Even like planting a bomb, that wouldn't be difficult.
Yeah, it's a question. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. No, you're probably right.
Payload.
There you go. Yeah.
Have your giant robot push a cart across the level. That would be actually kind of funny if you could only push the cart when you're in Titans.
That would be quite interesting. Well, because then you'd be fucked for a while, wouldn't you? Like, you'd have to everyone would have to gang up anti-Titan style on the one that's pushing if you don't have any on your team.
Yeah.
But that could be kind of interesting.
So I'm sure...
Well, you'd have to actually have someone pushing the car. You can't just have the thing sort of move on its own either.
It would actually be a physical action of like the giant robot would have to push the thing.
Yeah, dedicated Titan to do it. Whew, that would be pretty tough, I reckon.
Or you could auto-Titan it, but it would move slower.
Oh, why would it have to move slow? I don't know, leave your...
Because that's auto-Titan. Otherwise you've just got a free Titan.
I guess, yeah.
You've got an extra teammate rather than sacrificing one to the pushing. You have to give it a downside.
You could use your... Yeah, well, it pushes at the same speed, but you could use your dash while pushing to go faster.
Yeah, dash pushing, that'd be funny.
I don't know. I think Titanfall is sort of, well, you know, and as we've discussed in previous weeks, like Titanfall suffers from a sort of a strange lack of draw that I can't really explain. It's partly because I think the unlock tree is, you know, you go through it and it's like, well, what else is there to discover? And it's like the game is still good, but at the same time, there's nothing really clawing you back because there's such an unbelievably large selection of guns that may all be mostly the same, but they are all slightly different at the same time in COD. That there's always stuff to do, there's stuff to try, whereas Titanfall is Titanfall.
Yeah, but when you ever try stuff in COD, really, it's the same as Battlefield. I'm sure we've said it before. You find a gun is the one that you like and works, and you just use that forever.
But the thing with COD is there are just so many different... Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, so you don't mix up your main gun, say. But then you could still mix up all the perks, like do you actually want... Black Ops is the best example of this. It's like, do you actually want grenades? Because you can trade them in for something else, like an extra attachment. Or
that's the thing that Titanfall doesn't have, is like more perks.
Yeah.
It doesn't need more guns. I mean, one of each type of gun is fine because you just use whichever type of gun you're actually good at.
And then the kill streak stuff, which is essentially what the Titans are supposed to be. Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, do you take in the kill streaks that are easier to get so you can use them more often, or do you bank one of them as being a super hardcore thing that you have to try and stay alive for to get? You know, if you're feeling confident. It's those balances that kind of keep you experimenting. Whereas in Titanfall, I feel like it's more, well, this is how I like to play, therefore I'm going to pick this loadout.
Or there's no choice. Whereas it's like, why would you not always have electric smoke? Because the other options on that slot are virtually useless.
I don't know, I like the vortex.
How do you get people off you?
I just jump out and shoot.
That's so dangerous.
Yeah.
You just die all the time. As soon as people worked out how to like easily trap you with that maneuver using the det packs.
Yeah,
because who uses grenades? That's another slot where it's like,
yeah, once you get det packs, it's like
there's no. I've been tempted to maybe just try mines just because it's passive. I can just like chuck them out as I'm running along and just hope that something happens.
Yeah,
don't have to think about it.
It's actually quite nice. I've done that before. Just put mines on and just go, I'll chuck them on here, I'll chuck one there, and occasionally something will come. It's like, I'm hitting someone. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't like to have to think about extra things.
Yeah. So anyway, Titanfall. They're trying to mix stuff up.
That's things that are not going to exist in Titanfall, and now the other thing that's not going to exist any longer is GameSpy.
Oh yeah.
So a whole bunch of shit is getting fucked.
Shit's getting fucked, yo.
Or basically,
but Halo's okay, apparently.
Well, maybe they're trying to like work with modders and whatever to make a community patch for it to fix Halo. But EA are basically saying, "Oh fuck it, then we're just going to shut down all the we're not even going to bother. It's like anything that ran on GameSpy is not going to work any longer.
I thought EA had previously said they were going to support some stuff.
Yeah,
like that's the reason why Battlefield.
That's basically what they said like several months before this thing happened.
Isn't that why Battlefield 2 is still going to be up? Because they knew this was coming and were just like, well, yeah, we're just going to keep it running. And
no, I think Battlefield 2 is good. Well, basically everything up to 2142, and that includes Battlefield 2, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basic all of that shit. I'm not sure whether I didn't look at the list specifically. It was just like everything. It just had a list of Battlefield, and it's like 1942 at the bottom and 2142 at the top. I didn't read the middle to see if 2 was on there.
Yeah, because they specifically said they were going to keep 2 alive.
Yeah.
But what? So does that mean 2142 is dead? Is that dead? Jeez, that's bad.
2142 is the best one.
Yeah, exactly.
Even above 3 and 4 in my eyes.
Yep, really. And then all the other shit that runs on GameSpy that EA have, which is actually a fucking ridiculous list. There was like 25 or 30 games on that list.
I mean, there are other companies that are, that are obviously doing stuff like Gearbox have said they'll support Borderlands 1, I think. And
didn't they try and remove GameSpy from that at some point?
Yeah,
because when they released Borderlands 2, and they were like, our system is now we've actually worked out how to do this, so we can try and get GameSpy out of Borderlands 1.
I was just going to try and see if I could look up the at least 50 games going offline.
Yep. Oh, there's a picture of a Titan.
Yep, that's
from 2142, not Titanfall.
Well, that's definitely good. Star Wars Battlefront is dying.
Red Alert 3.
Oh, Battlefield 2 is on the list.
There you go.
So they lied to us.
Yep, that's what I suspected.
Oh, fuck you, EA. Come on, CNC 3, CNC Generals, Red Alert, Crisis Wars. Crisis Wars is the interesting one because that's the multiplayer-focused Crisis game. Crisis 2, Medal of Honor. Well, not that anyone I really plays those, so that's no great loss. Medal of Honor, Neverwinter Nights. Battlefront 2. Let's get the full list.
Yeah, skip the full list.
Hear me click.
To see all the games that we don't actually care about.
World Series of Yahtzee.
Case in point. Oh, Bulletstorm for PlayStation 3. That's weird.
Oh, the Modern Combat game for PlayStation 2. I didn't even think that would be alive anyway, because presumably that was the shitty one I got on 360. Do you remember? The weird Battlefield game.
Oh, yeah.
Bulletstorm's a shame.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because the Bulletstorm co-op stuff was pretty cool.
That's really recent.
Yeah. Lots of FIFAs on DS.
On DS, yeah. I'm surprised GameSpy even worked on DS.
Yeah.
It's like, how would that even happen?
The Need for Speed games prior to the most recent Hot Pursuit remake.
Skate 2 for Nintendo DS, lols.
Spore for DS.
Spore Creatures.
DS is fucked on this, basically. My Sims, Master of Orion 3. That was quite popular.
Yeah.
I think it's still popular.
So basically, a lot of shit is getting fucked, as I said.
So that's a big old list. Scrabble.
Oh, nice.
You can't play Scrabble on your iPhone anymore.
Ever. In any way.
SimCity Social is dying.
Thank God.
Yeah, that's no great loss. Mobile versions of Rock Band are dying. I didn't even know that existed.
I remember that. That was quite weird. Mobile Rock Band. It's like a DS Rock Band, I'm sure.
There was that Rock Band Unplugged on PSP.
Oh right, yeah.
Which is not on this list. Stuff that has already been shut. Oh, Battlefield 2 Modern Combat on Xbox was already shut down. I was very surprised if that was still running.
Wait, so the second half of this list is the much longer list of everything that's already fucked.
Stuff that's already gone. Yeah, Burnout 3 is gone.
Oh.
Burnout Dominator, Burnout Revenge is gone.
Connect 4 for Palm. What the fuck does that even mean?
For Palm Pilots? The Fight Night games are dying. Pretty much all of them. Facebreaker.
Oh.
That classic.
Swelling around the left eye.
Yeah, it's a shit ton of FIFA games. Lord of the Rings games. Madden. Love Madden.
Well, these are all ones that have shut down, so it's not actually surprising.
No.
all the old Maddens.
Yahtzee for Palm Pilots.
So there you go.
So that's a pretty hefty list, yeah. And that's just EA, though. That's the scary thing. Maybe click some more.
And in like, not entirely related, but just a thought that I had related when this news came up, Rob suggested that something that we could in future make a video of, he randomly has Viva Pinata on PC.
Yeah.
And that's Games for Windows Live, presumably. So will that even work any longer?
Shit, should I just install that? Well, some Games for Windows Live stuff still lets you, register the key and stuff. I think like some of the registration server stuff is still up.
Right.
But just the service in general, like the store part of Games for Windows Live is definitely dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Shit, maybe fuck there. I better just install that.
Did we miss our opportunity to make a video of Viva Pinata?
Oh, we're going to have to try and figure out how to rig the Xbox version through.
It still worked last time I tried Dirt 3, I'm sure. Sure I logged in.
Reddit compiles the terrifying list of games affected.
Good for Reddit.
Try and look at the whole list now.
Yep. Status unknown. Oh, that's
actually a shorter list.
These games never used GameSpy, so Quake is okay. Anything ID, Civs are okay. This is a more boring list. Let's list every game that's ever happened. Anything that doesn't have multiplayer, you're good.
Okay. So that's the end of that. And that's the end of news.
Is it? Dan?
It is, indeed. The end of news. It's time for what you've been playing. Somebody has a new console, right? The Wii U for a while. Well, we talked about it last time. But have you been enjoying it for the past couple of weeks? Is the question.
Yeah, not very much.
Have you had a chance to break it out?
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been playing it. Because I finished Lego City Underground.
Yeah.
Undercover, not Underground. I finished the main story bit of that anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, that game has its moments where there's surprisingly more competent, I think, than you sort of expect from a Lego game. There's the odd sequence where it's just like, okay, that was actually pretty cool what you did there.
Cool.
It sort of catches you off guard. It's like, that was surprisingly dramatic. But the writing is, overall, I think a little... I don't know, would you call it top-heavy, or if it's at the start? Or is it top at the end? Take it from the top, I suppose, is the start. So top-heavy. Let's call it top-heavy writing.
Okay.
Okay. It's like a lot of the funnier stuff, or a lot of the better stuff seems to be at the start of the game. There's the odd moment towards the end.
As they say.
Yeah, front-loaded. There we go. That's a good one.
It's not really that good, but it's a bit better, maybe.
Yeah, so like towards the end, you are kind of sort of thinking, all right, okay, I see what you're doing now. Or maybe that's it. Maybe the writing is just as good, but you're sort of used to what they're doing.
Yep.
So with that in mind, it's like the actual length by the time I reached to the end of the story, it was a good place. It was a good time for them to stop. It hadn't yet outstayed its welcome, but it wouldn't have been far from that.
Right.
So it's a good length.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good length. With me faffing about in the world and stuff, by the time I reached the end of the game, my clock was at 25 hours, so that's not bad.
Wow. Pretty damn good for a modern game, let alone a kid's game.
Yeah, but my completion rate is still 40%. So there's so much stuff left to do in the world.
It's an entire game based around collecting shit, and there's like shit everywhere.
It's just, as I said before, it's an enormous treasure hunt. Just go in the world and do stuff. But the weird thing is, I'm still missing an ability. So I've got to the end of the game, and there's one thing I know that I can't do yet.
Do you know what it is?
Well, kinda. It involves orange handles. That's all I know. I can't do stuff with the orange handles in the world.
Right.
Which the game occasionally highlights. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with those. Like whether I need to get... Well, no, I was about to say maybe I need to get a truck and like hook something up to them so I can pull them off. But it's like, no, I can't do that because some of those are in the levels where you don't have a truck.
Right. Yeah.
Or the ability to get a truck. It's like, so I don't know. I haven't really played it since I finished the story, though. It's like, I think, as I say, by that point, my interest was starting to dip. Because you are, as I explained before, sort of doing the same thing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And presumably, you know, there has to come a point where that's no longer interesting. And I think I'm there.
You've reached it.
Yeah. But
after 25 hours,
it took me a while to get there.
Pretty...
Yeah, it took me a while to get
exactly.
there. And I had a good time of it. And you know, I'm sure that if I went back into it, it's always kind of hard to stop playing that game, like because you just keep finding stuff, or there's something you need to do, so you go do it, and it just keeps going.
Sounds like an ideal. That's the thing about open world games. I find when they're well made, there's always something else to go and do.
But then there's the whole, I don't know, getting started with that game, as I mentioned before, is such a pain because of the loading pauses that it's like puts you off wanting to start that thing up sometimes, because it's just like, I am going to have to wait a while before I even get to do anything, so let's play Mario instead. Which is what I've also been playing. I played a bit more New Super Mario U.
And how are you finding it now? I know you're enjoying it.
I still am, but I'm sort of realizing that I think I kind of suck at Mario.
Right, yeah, 2D Mario.
Pretty badly. It's quite hard.
Yeah, Mario was always kind of hard. Like, if you were trying to do the more difficult levels in the old ones, especially like the lost levels or whatever. And
I mean, I've only done like 3 of the worlds, but a couple of the levels in them are just such evil designs. Like, there's just places where it's just like, how am I supposed to do this without getting hurt and fudging my way through it in some way? And there's some really tricky bits.
I just don't think the modern side-scrolling Mario games have as good controls as they should. It just feels too squidgy. It's like there's something weird about the movement where it's just all spongy and like you don't feel precise.
There's a sort of momentum to Mario that's kind of always been there, but yeah, you're right. It feels a little less precise, a bit more. I think it's because the game's pace is slightly slower than what it used to be.
Yeah,
and that perhaps has the result of it feeling a bit damp.
And also now that there's just there's too much like, well, there's too much. It's like now that you can wall jump, it's too easy to like accidentally wall jump.
Yeah, that has caught me out. That both catches me out and saves me on a regular basis.
Yeah, like it shouldn't save you. It's like if you fall in a hole, you should fucking die. You shouldn't just casually wall jump your way out of it.
Yeah, it's true. That does mean that there's somewhere, when there's a hole in that game, it tends to be a really big hole, or there's a ledge you can't jump. Like they've made it so there's a
L shape, basically, so you can't wall jump your way back onto
it. Yeah. So perhaps some of the craft isn't as strong in the level design as as the original Mario's in that respect.
Yeah.
But every level is different in some way. They don't rest on their laurels on any particular idea for like more than a level, pretty much. And it's in that respect that means every new level is always going to be something different and something. And that doesn't always work. There are some levels where the gimmick is just crap. There's one level in particular that I sort of hate a lot, which is there's one level in the ice world where it makes you stand on rotating stars. But there's a lack of physics to them that's kind of annoying. Like if you jump on a star, like you're moving from left to right in classic fashion, you jump on a star and you land as close to the middle as you can, but imagine one of the points of the star is directly in the middle.
Yeah.
Now, me, being used to physics in games, thinks that, well, okay, if I land on that with some speed, the momentum of me landing on it is going to sort of push it in the direction that I was traveling. Like, even if I land to the left a bit, there's going to be a sort of momentum effect to kind of push it to the right somewhat. Spin it clockwise. But no, none of that applies. If you land on the left, the thing is going to spin to the left. If you land on the right, it's going to spin to the right. And because it's a star shape, that means actually keeping footing on it is a bit of a shit, really. It's pretty hard.
Right.
And that was just like, no, okay, this is feel nice success, and this is feeling a little bit more like luck that I'm landing on it at the right times and stuff than actually, it's not luck, but it sort of feels like that. Because of the way that star just happened to rotate. And it's like, yeah, those bits I really dislike. But for the most part, it's good. Level the penguins was cool in theory until you realise some of the design is just freaking evil. Like, I need to jump up there, but there's a sliding penguin that will appear the moment I have an opening to jump. It's like, crap, how am I supposed to do this?
And how are you supposed to do this?
I don't know, but I just got hurt, carried on. Just make sure I'm mushroomed up by that point.
Oh, I see. You just have to blast your way through it, basically.
Yeah, and there are some levels, like, say, if you have the squirrel suit, you can just sort of cheap your way through. That's how I did the star level.
It's another
cheat it.
It's another example of there being too many new skills and stuff. Where it's like you're basically the.
That was sort of true of some of Mario 3 with the. Like,
I guess it has sort of happened before, but it's like you're giving the player skills that completely negate the platforming.
Yeah.
I haven't really worked out why there needs to be the ice flower. Like, the fire flower is fine, surely. Like, actually freezing stuff isn't all that useful. Well, it hasn't been enforced yet.
It's like you do a second attack, I guess.
Yeah.
But you might as well just kill them with the fire flower.
Yeah. Exactly.
Apart from the things you can't kill, of course, like dry bones.
Dry bones, yeah, you need the ice flower for. Fire flower won't work on that. And there's been while we're staying on the negative front, one of the bosses has been pretty dodgy thus far. Like, most bosses in a Mario game okay, he's not doing some kind of attack that involves him becoming, going into his shell, so he's Spiky Koopa. So his head is exposed, therefore I can jump on him, right? Right? And there's one boss where some of the time with his head exposed, you can hit him. And some of the time with his head exposed, you can't hit him. And I couldn't figure out what those times were, really. And just sort of...
Man, that's quite bad if it doesn't...
Yeah.
Because usually it flag posts that stuff or whatever. Flags that stuff really obviously.
This one in particular was just kind of crap. And it was kind of annoying. It would have been a fine boss if it just wasn't for that. And it was frustrating. Especially seeing that, when you die on a boss, you don't just spawn right in front of the boss. You spawn at the halfway point through the castle level beforehand. And in this particular case, that was a bit of a slog.
Mm.
So, yeah, watch out for that.
Watch out for some non-specific boss that has some halfway through.
Guess which one. Okay, no, it's the boss of the Sand World. So
yeah, cool. Okay.
I didn't like that one. But it's otherwise it's a well-made package, and it's keeping me going for long because of the difficulty. Actually, it's probably keeping me going for more than I expected. For long
words, things, good
things and opinions.
Good. Nintendo,
it's all right.
Okay.
And it has got a challenge mode that I haven't really dived much into yet. About time trial, certain levels, get through this fast. Or collect a certain number of coins on a certain number of conditions. And some of those challenges are specifically made rather than just being bits of levels.
Right, yeah.
So there is more stuff there. And some of it I think you can only do in multiplayer because one player needs to be on the pad doing the boost mode, which is creating the platforms. One player needs to be using a Wiimote to actually guide a character through it. So there's some forced multiplayer challenges there as well, which might be cool to try at some point.
You're going to do that with Zeg or no more?
Whoever wants to. Which is the biggest challenge so far. So there's that. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. It's just it's a Mario game. It's like in a way that sort of presentation style does sort of get a little old and a little cheap feeling because it's cool and it's not really cheap at the same time, but I don't know. I think we expect a little more sometimes than just a tile set that's very that's very HD,
very professionally done. Yeah.
There's nothing really wrong with it. It's just that it doesn't necessarily feel like the sort of thing that should be a full priced game.
Well, speaking of, bit more slick Mario graphics, have you got plans for the Mario Kart? You think you're getting that?
I do. I have it pre-ordered because
sweet.
I kind of like the cut of its jib. It
looks freaking awesome. Do you see Eurogamer gave it 10 out of 10?
Well, they're wrong, but okay. Mainly because the stuff about battle mode is kind of shitty. If you've heard anything about that. I mean, battle mode is quite fun with the
Well, they no longer have arenas, right? Is that right?
Yeah, that's what you just play on the tracks, and that's a terrible idea.
Right.
No, battle mode needs arenas.
It's like Wipeout. What was the dumb Wipeout fight mode?
On the tracks? In Fusion. No, it was Wipeout Fury.
It must have been more games than that. Yeah.
It was in Fury. There was a dumb mode where half the competitors are going the wrong way around the track, and it's
Oh, right.
You have to shoot each other. And it's like last person
Elimination
standing style.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter about the race, you're just killing everyone. So it's a bit like that,
exactly.
and that's never really great, because it just ends up with a... Surely you end up with like that one, when it's one-on-one, like, oh, you just need to find each other, and then have a stupid fight around a stupid part of the course without... I don't know. I think it's a really dumb idea. Like, why not just make arenas like you always have done?
I guess they just didn't want to spend time making the environments. Like, maybe they just didn't care about that game mode.
Or maybe it's them perhaps experimenting with upcoming DLC.
Do you think?
Maybe.
Do you think they'll add arenas in? I think
they're dipping their toes in this water, aren't they? Like,
that's true.
DLC
they are.
thing.
I mean, apparently in Mario Kart 8, you can like upload your replays to YouTube. I mean,
you
what?
can. Yes.
That's not very
Yeah,
Nintendo.
Online stuff is apparently pretty competent. So
Yeah.
Success. But the only thing, I guess,
Exactly.
biggest criticism is obviously it's still Mario Kart, and they haven't really done enough to change the formula. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad game, but it's a game that you know exactly what you're going to be getting into. Which is sometimes what you need, but it's probably not going to excite you in the same way as like if they were mixing things up. Because the empty grab doesn't really add
it's hard to mix up Mario Kart, though, isn't it? I don't know what they have. There's a few more...
well, it's like the DS version.
New, aren't there?
Well, they just add more things to do. Like, the DS's challenge mode stuff. Like, why is that not there still? And, as I mentioned before...
content, I guess.
As I mentioned before, games like Sonic Racing Transformed have shown that you can do more than just the base racing. With actually not that much effort, I don't think. You can do stuff. And they're not. So no. I wonder how long that game will. I wonder how long that's going to hold my interest for. Is my worry.
I guess we'll find out. I think it's a fairly safe pre-order.
It's not exactly a bad deal, given that I'll get another game as part of that Club Nintendo deal. So.
Exactly. And it'll be a good one if people come over. It always is. It's kind of the classic, isn't it?
For main racing, but I know people who like the battle mode. Yeah. And it's like, can't do that then, can we? Well, at least, and that's the other thing, I suppose, is that the 4-player multiplayer does at least seem to support like the full number of races on track as well. So it's like, how some games do, where you go past a certain threshold and for some reason the game decides, no more AI for you. It's like, from what I've seen, that doesn't happen. So, it's always a full roster, which is fine. That's good.
Cool, that's good. I guess we'll get your... so when is that released? When will that arrive?
30th of May, so a couple of weeks from now.
Oh, right.
So I might have played it a little bit by the next podcast.
Cool, awesome. I played Mario Kart 64 on Friday.
Yeah. That game has aged. So.
Yeah, that game has aged quite a bit. It was quite hard to see what was going on.
It sort of feels weird now, doesn't it? Like, just control-wise, it feels odd.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. I was kind of bouncing off the corners. It's because they set it straight to 150cc, and it was on a level where you could like fall off one side of the track onto the other. Which was kind of the one. And
you need to ease into that one if you haven't played it for a while.
Exactly, that was the problem. They were like, "No, go straight onto 150cc." I was like, "Oh, okay."
It's got one of the best versions of Battle, though, or one of my favourite versions of Battle. Just because the stage designs are quite simple.
And... yeah, exactly. I mean, they couldn't do that much because it's quite hard to render like 4 screens worth of stuff on the 64. Yeah, but
the arenas weren't massive, so the fights were always quite good. You didn't really struggle to find each other.
But I just played the racing, but it was at like GitHub had like a bunch of old games, with all the controllers and everything all set up at this. Because I went to this conference in Oxford, jQuery UK, and they had a bunch of people there giving out swag and stuff. But GitHub instead were like, "Come and play classic games and shit, and we'll have a tournament or whatever." And they were like,
"That's cool."
So, yeah, it was kind of fun.
I'm not sure what.
I got some
that
swag,
promotes,
but I didn't get
cool.
too much. Yeah, I don't know what it promotes, but GitHub are a company, so. But I got some Internet Explorer swag for some reason.
Great.
There were a bunch of Microsoft dudes like promoting modern IE. What did I get? I got like a moleskin with IE on it, and like a bunch of stickers, and like glasses, like microfiber cloth thing for some reason that's branded with Microsoft and IE and stuff for some reason. That was quite weird. Anyway, yes. Cool. You been playing anything else?
Alice Sachs going to remind me of something. Not really. I mean, I played quite a bit more PvZ, but nothing really to add there.
Well, things we haven't been playing, as is the classic topic. We haven't been playing Guild Wars because nothing's happening there.
No.
May 20th is the next patch. Well, they're launching in China is the thing that's coming up, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Which I was thinking about that, and like most MMOs have to release like special versions for China because of all their weird laws and shit.
Yeah, and it's like segregated server.
And so I was wondering about that in the Guild Wars version because they are technically segregated servers, but because of the overflow and now the mega server system, you can just get in with anyone. And I presume that won't be the case for the Chinese ones still.
It must be.
You probably won't be able to get into it. Yeah, I expect it will be.
I
mean, I didn't even realise until...
Suddenly Chinese.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know until the other day that I thought EVE was all on one server, but no, there's a Chinese server.
It's all on one server, but there's two servers.
Oh, it's on one
cluster,
servers. You mean, but there's two like separate threads.
Actually, I don't know if it is actually two completely separate servers, but they always say...
I don't know, actually. If it's Chinese rules might mean that you have to have your data center in China.
Possibly. But yeah, it is actually...
I think it's completely separate. Yeah. Because apparently they had a battle in the Chinese one the other day that was bigger than the frickin' giant Western one.
Yeah, well, sort of. It was sort of...
Supposedly.
It was sort of like, depending on what metric you were using, bigger in that kind of way.
Right.
Where it's like they destroyed more stuff, but not necessarily more people were there at the same time, or sometimes more people were there, but it lasted longer.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
Weird. Yeah.
But it was another big fight.
Fight still happened.
Yep. I haven't been playing Eve.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I logged in a couple of times, naturally.
I did actually play some Titanfall.
Are you on that monument thing, by the way? Sorry.
I theoretically am.
Do you need to find your place on that?
Built.
On your No, it is built, right?
I don't think they've finished with it yet because it's like
I heard it's been built, and then somebody came up and like scratched one of the names out, and then they got like caught by the police and shit.
Like, I don't want my name to be on this shit.
There must be quite a specific scratch, presumably. I don't know how much space each name takes up.
It was a specific scratch. I don't know what the deal was, but anyway, they got lifetime bans.
Would it have been such a small scratch that it could have been an accident?
No, because
my keys were sticking out of my pocket and it scratched his name.
No, I saw the photo. It was clearly scratched multiple times over one name to try and scratch it out, which was really weird. Really weird
CCP
thing to like
found those
vandalise
who
shit.
defaced the Eve monument and has banned them from the game for life.
How would you even work that out? I mean, really?
Presumably they caught the guy and was like, "What's your Eve handle?"
Well, the real question is, how on earth did they happen to catch that guy? It's Iceland, for Christ's sake. There's like no one there.
Maybe they had CCTV on the thing or something.
It's like he could have come back at night and literally no one would have been there, probably.
Yeah,
weird. Okay.
Oh, look, there's a screenshot of some of the names. Oh, Jesus Christ, are they not even in alphabetical order? Well, fuck.
Yeah,
there's a special service there's a special web page to find your name. Because I looked into it. So you have to, like, it tells you where you are on the monument.
That's a great name.
Well, it might be King Vin Wolfenstein because there's no separation between the names.
Dark. I assume that's attached to someone.
Mistress, maybe. Yeah. Well, it's like the names aren't separated by punctuation or anything, so it's like they just run into each other.
Yeah, that doesn't help at all. Monkey Arms.
So
or Monkey Arms Gurney.
That's a great name.
You should be able to find your name
Gurney
though.
Atreides might be what do you call it? A Dune reference.
Of course.
Yeah, probably.
If it has Atreides in it, I'm fairly sure it's a Dune reference.
Yep.
What was your name again? Your screen name?
I'm not going to say that.
That would be on the
live on the podcast.
Yeah, he's got a thing about it. I don't know why. It's been on one of our videos. You can go read it from there.
It's been on one of our videos in very small text. That was the only reason I didn't make you edit it out.
Until I zoomed it in.
Yeah, you bastard.
Why wouldn't you want people to know that? That's really weird.
Because it's
Eve.
You can't expose your actual in-game
people target you and all that crap, apparently. I don't believe it, but, whatever.
No,
that's why there's no videos of Eve, really, on the internet. Even though Eve has built-in streaming. I was tempted of trying that out, because I wanted to see what it would actually stream. Because if it just streams the whole game, then it's no wonder no one uses it. It's like if it had like the Xbox, if it had like built-in censoring for certain things, that would be awesome, and then everyone would stream Eve.
So what's the valuable information that you don't want to give out to people? Your name, right, Matt?
Well, yeah, obviously. And then like, the reason people wouldn't stream in Eve is because of all the, like, just, like, what system you're in, how many people are in local, all this kind of tactical information that you can, if you were in any kind of serious fleet or whatever. That's the main, it's like, even if you're, like, in the factional warfare, which is, like, the semi-organised PvP that's open to everyone, it's like, that had a constant problem of spies, basically, because you just have another character that was in the other faction's faction warfare team and would just sit in their chat channel, so you could never announce like what system you were going to organise your fleet in the chat channel, which was specifically for organising your fleet, because then the other team would know, because inevitably they had spies. And for that reason, that's why no one streams Eve, because someone will look at it and find out all the pertinent information about everything ever. So yeah, if it had some kind of auto-censoring, like...
But you're not in any of these factions or anything, are you? I mean...
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I couldn't be a valuable target. Because I am like a hella old character with money.
Yeah, but
there's reason to be afraid.
But what would mentioning your name on a podcast, like, couldn't they just find you in the game regardless? Like... Well, I don't get it at all.
It's linking like actual names to places and that kind of stuff, isn't it? It's like it's not just finding my in-game name from my other game names, I guess. It's basically lowering the bar of effort, I suppose, is what I'm saying.
Go watch the video.
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
At least that will get some more views.
Mysterious.
If I'm going to sacrifice myself, it'll be for a purpose.
For the good of the salad.
Yeah.
But why is it going to make it easier for someone to kill you if they know you're Zeg and that you're good at tier 2?
Because in that video, it like very clearly shows what system I'm in.
Yeah, okay, but that's different to that. Okay, I get it, the video part, but I don't get them mentioning it here on the podcast part.
Yeah, but when do you fly in a way that makes you vulnerable?
Well, to gangs.
Yeah, I guess, but you're not losing a great deal.
It depends what I was flying. But if you have your in-game name, you can use the locator agents to find out what system they're in. So even then, even just the name is enough to find out what system you're in at the moment.
So you're worried one of our listeners is going to go, oh, Zeg's name is X. Let's look him up and let's go and gank him.
Yeah.
Well, who else is going to care? Who else is going to hear it if not one of our listeners?
It's not for, like, I'm not concerned about people, like, right now. It's like, what if something happened in the future and I got into something in Eve, like deep PvP or something? You can't leave a trail. That's why they do background checks on everyone in Eve, apart from to find spies, obviously. You don't want to leave yourself exposed.
Do they do actual background checks? How would they do a check on you? Like, if you wanted to join
background checks,
if you were going to join a guild, how would they work out that you weren't a spy or whatever?
Well, it depends how serious they were.
Presumably, you'd have to submit yourself to a CRV.
Well, I'm sure it's not like official, but like, I mean, they obviously Eve has the in-game where you give them your API key that has like everything, like all your skills and like all your alt characters, so they can check that you're not running an alt spy or whatever. all that kind of stuff. All that in-game information can be exposed using that key system.
But then surely they can't find out if you have multiple accounts?
Well, that's where the actual real background checks start to come in for the really serious
How do you do that?
Well, you just have to get real-life information.
What, so they social hack CCP customer service?
No. They do it by actually asking you to submit information.
But then surely that in itself is a flawed concept.
Well, you can't be 100% secure in everything.
Just lie. You can just lie.
You're having to work within the limits of the game at some point, even if it's outside of the game in the game. Where you're asking people about real shit.
Just like, do you have any other accounts that you use? No.
They could probably... I guess there might be a way to find out through like the files on your computer. Like the login, the portraits of the login.
What, they're going to hack into your PC and like find all your cookies?
Not hacking, like you give them it. You take a screenshot of the folder or whatever. That's not even 100% secure. I don't fucking know.
No, apparently you don't.
How secure anything can be, for Christ's sake.
I still don't understand why you can't say your character name. That's especially when it's like literally chiseled into a monument in Iceland. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, but as if I don't think the monument in Iceland is going to be that much of a spy tool. It's like, we've got access to every character name in the game ever.
Someone's just going to go to the monument and go, right, just like...
Let's just start typing these names.
No, they blindfold themselves, walk up to the monument and go, that one. And then it's like, right, this is the guy we're going to go after. And then, like, just conveniently, it's his mate or something. It's like, yeah, that's me. Oh, all right. I've known you this long, I didn't know who you were.
I think that might have been fairly unlikely. The whole concept. So anyway, what were we talking about games we haven't been playing?
What have you been playing, Zeg?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I yield.
I guess there wasn't anything that Rob played, was what we were trying to determine.
Other than what I talked about.
There was some Team Fortress, but there's never anything to talk about in Team Fortress.
No.
And there may have been more Borderlands 2 in the last 2 weeks, I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably. But, irrelevant.
Yep, not much to talk about there either.
Irregardless.
I didn't play any Titanfall this 2 weeks.
What did you play, man?
It was like I kept on my plan of not playing things that I think I wanted to play, maybe.
Your plan of not playing things you wanted to play, maybe?
I just don't know. I am still in the process of getting through the not knowing what I wanted to play phase.
Oh, yeah. I've been going through one of those, actually, recently. Sort of like in the lull of like finishing Lego City, and sort of Mario's one of those games that's good in short bursts.
Yeah,
it's like I haven't got a big game on the go at the moment. It's like, well, what do I really
apart
want
from
to
all
do?
the things that you've never finished.
Well, I suppose I've been playing Trials. We didn't talk
Mario.
about that, but I'm up to the hard stuff in Trials.
Yeah,
it's fucking hard.
So in the phase of not knowing what I wanted to play, for the first week there was the continuation of playing Skyrim. That kind of dropped off suddenly at some point. I don't
because you're like, why. Oh, I remember, it's Skyrim. I get it.
No, it wasn't really. I just stopped playing it. I think the first week was I sent my 3DS in for repair because the warranty was about to expire, and I was like, last possible moment, send it in to get the speaker fixed.
And did they?
Yeah, and they did, and they also extended the warranty again. Success.
Oh, awesome.
Or at least I think that's what that letter implied. I didn't actually read it. I was just like, I looked at it and it was like, that looks like the same letter, close. Because I've had that same letter before. And I sent that. The weird thing was when I sent it in for repair, I sent it back to the repair place in the box that they sent it to me before, with the letter they sent to me before. I basically highlighted the bit where it said we extended your warranty from a year to this date of the letter.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
So I basically sent them the same DS in the same box with the same letter, and I was like, I hope they figure out that this is actually something different and not just like a postage error. But yeah. They did, apparently.
Did you ring ahead to say that this was happening? Because presumably all they do is look up the number and go, all right, this is what's happening.
Yeah, you send it, you make a request, and then they arrange the postage or whatever. And it was just because I still had the old box. I was just like, well, this is a box specifically designed for selling a 3DS.
Yeah, I did that with my 360 a couple of times. I had the box from when it returned, so I was like, oh, all right, I'll just send it back in that then. That's convenient.
And I thought I'd have to find bubble wrap because I was like, well, I want to add an extra layer of padding. But when I actually opened the box, it had the bubble wrap that was in from there last time.
Bonus.
I was like, well, that's specific. Take out all the crap that was in there, like the screen protectors and shit that I never put on. And of course, now they sent me another pair of screen protectors that I never put on.
Excellent.
Although I think...
Could you eBay them?
For like 2p.
Yeah.
They're official Nintendo screen protectors.
Well, exactly. Yeah. But do they have to see them?
No. They don't have anything on them. They're just clear. As you would hope.
Yeah. Covered in logos to say, this is an official screen protector. You didn't want to see your screen, did you? But it's official.
I think the nicest thing about that repair process, apart from extending the warranty again, was like my DS got cleaned. All the dust and shit that was on, well, not really, I guess it was only dust. All the dust that was on the screens got wiped off, and I was like, oh man, I opened it up and I was like, wow, these screens are so clean.
That is nice, because presumably it builds up in the corners.
Yeah, well, they didn't quite
It already is on my Wii U pad, actually.
They didn't quite get to all the way into the corners with their cleaning, but they did a pretty good job. And the nice thing about when the other thing that I really forget about the 3DS is like you should keep the screens clean because it makes the 3D work better.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
sense.
It's easier to focus on the 3D when there's not any dust on it.
Yeah, less, or presumably, like if you get like a greasy smear for some reason across your screen, then that screws with the refractive.
Well, not that much. Not to affect the actual 3D, but it still makes it harder to keep your focus on the 3D.
Maybe.
But yeah, so I got it back and it was like, wow, this is so clean. And then I always didn't want to play on it. I was like, it's so clean.
So good. And it's got to stay like this. It's mint condition.
And then I'm not going to put the screen protectors on it again, naturally. Because fuck screen protectors.
You should put them on.
They're fucking impossible to get onto the 3DS because both the screens are sunken.
Oh, yeah.
So it's impossible to get them into there accurately. So yeah, I was like, screw it. Fuck those screen protectors. There's only one major scratch across the middle of my screen. Actually, it's not that major. It's barely visible most of the time.
Hey, at least your touchscreen still works.
Yep. So yeah, so that first week when I played Skyrim, that was because I didn't have a 3DS, basically. And then when the 3DS got back, I was like, okay, now it's time to recommit to Bravely Default and do some more of that. So that was what I played for quite a significant... That actually became my main game and not just my occasional game for a while. As I got back into World 5.
No, it's still going.
The last world.
Okay.
And World 5 is a... I thought World 4 was a fucker, but it turns out World 5 is even worse. Because I thought they were just going to remix the boss battles, but it's now actually... World 4 was 3-on-4, and now World 5 is 4-on-4. So you're fighting 4 bosses at once against your team.
Great.
On the other hand, that does mean there's less battles, because you're going through the bosses faster.
You sure you're not just going through, like, some ridiculous challenge mode at this point?
No, because it's like, you get the true ending if you do all of the worlds. You get the shitty end. At this point, basically what I'm thinking of doing is, because I may not ever do the completionist, because, well, World 5, you're fighting four bosses at once for the side story battles.
Right.
So there's only 4 of them, because there's basically 16 bosses, more or less. So you're going to fight them in 4-on-4 battles, and I've done 3 of them, and that's fine. But then once you do the last set, it spawns the ultimate thing where you fight them all again while you go through up to the last 4. I guess there's 24 bosses actually, because there's 24 jobs, coincidentally.
Yeah.
Not coincidentally, because that's how you get the fucking jobs for the bosses. So you do the 16 outside,
so
and
not
then
25 jobs. You have to fight one without a job then at the start of the game.
Well, you have the freelancer job that you start with.
That's what I mean, but then surely there can't be 24 bosses if you have to get...
Well, I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Numbers.
Maybe one of them duplicates or something. But you fight you fight the 16 bosses in the world, you go to the last thing where you have to fight the 16 bosses again, and then the last set, 3 I guess, if there is only 23. So that's like, you're doing the whole thing twice. But then supposedly, from what I read about this, where I was trying to determine whether I could really be bothered to do all this again, supposedly after you've defeated this whole, you do all the battles again going up the tower, after you've beaten that, supposedly you just do all of those battles without any pause.
Oh, really?
Fight every boss in the game in one go.
Holy crap.
And I was like, that maybe is a bit much.
Yeah.
Although, what will determine whether that is a bit much is really how it transitions. Because if it's like you defeat all 4 and then the next 4 come in, that might be less manageable than if they like replace as they get defeated. Because then you can manage which ones you're fighting against.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I don't know which way round that will be. So yeah, that may not happen. I've come to the point where I'm basically thinking what I'll do is I'll copy my save file into all 3 save slots, have one save file for the completionist, if I get round to it, have one save file to do the bad end, and have one save file to do the good end, and just skip the completionist bit. Just fucking finish the game. See the ending. See both endings. Although, also from what I read, the final boss looks like it might be fucking ridiculous as well.
Well,
Naturally,
yeah.
This whole game has become ridiculous. Well,
it's like with all the boss remixes and stuff, that's still manageable because you can just you know what their patterns are because you've already fought them before.
But is it really interesting?
Well, it kind of is.
Okay.
Mainly to see. Well, in some cases, it's a matter of seeing how ridiculously you can exploit it. In some cases, it's actually finding the tactic that works.
See, the problem I have with this stuff is it sounds like stuff that should be, I don't know, like a post-game extra as opposed to part of the main game.
Well, I think there is actually a post-game thing as well, like a separate dungeon or some shit.
Jeez.
With even more ridiculous enemies or something. I don't know. And the nemesis, of course. All the level 99 stuff. My team is like level 92 now. Also, I decided to say fuck it and committed to grinding out all the jobs. Because I was like, if I'm going to do these ridiculous 4-on-4 battles, I just want my team to be the best they can be, so I want them to be on the classes that they're good at and to have access to all of the skills.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I just said fuck it and ground for job points for a while. I found an even quicker way to grind than dooming those dogs.
Oh yeah?
There's a really dumb... There's one place, one dungeon where the only enemies that spawn are undead, and then you just set up a basically a holy attack, only it's an item-based holy attack. And the items are super cheap. It only costs 400 gold, and you can just annihilate the entire enemy team in one shot.
Oh, okay.
So you just do that. You just set that to auto, because then you don't even have. Then you can set it to auto, provided you keep stopping to buy more of the items periodically. You can just walk in a circle and just grind it up.
That's kind of weird.
Yep.
Yeah. Once you just enter a fight, put it in auto mode, wait for it to finish. Because what does auto mode then just repeat your actions from the last fight? Then?
Yeah, it just persists.
Huh.
So because you can brave 4 times, it only takes 2 shots of that item to kill everything. But I set it free just in case. But it never happens because they always take the same amount of damage because it's an item attack. So you just wholly annihilate these zombies and then just do it again forever.
It's weird that they thought of all that. Really, that whole system, the way autoing works. I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of nice in its own way. But yeah. Bravely Default is still continuing.
Will it ever end?
Yeah, that is the question.
Bravely Default was carrying on.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, as I said, I stopped playing Skyrim. I don't even remember what was going on. I was just killing more stuff.
Stealthing badly.
Yep, stealthing in the cheesy way. I'm still not even at level 100 stealth. I mean, come on. Although something that had actually changed since I last played Skyrim, which I didn't know about, is when you reach level 100, supposedly you can basically
prestige.
Yeah, you can basically prestige on that skill and start over and continue leveling it. I think it's only meant to be for so you can keep gaining experience points when you level up the skill, so you can actually level up your character more.
I see.
I'm not sure if it actually resets the perks or whatever, because that would kind of suck. Because then you'd be bad.
A big. Yeah, a big character reset sounds utterly pointless, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of how that game works.
So yeah, I don't know about that. I guess I might find out eventually if I play Skyrim again. And then what I've only played for one day, because it got to the point where it was the classic thing where I saw someone playing on a video, and I was like, I was sort of interested in that game, but now I've seen it, well, fuck. So I had to go and buy into Space Engineers.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
To trundle around in space and build shit.
Is it good?
Is it any good? Is it early access? What's the deal?
It is early access, but it's I'm not sure how much. It's the classic question of how much more is there going to be to it at some point? Because it's functional, but the trouble
is it as good as Moonbase?
That's a totally different thing.
Is it? I know nothing about this game. You're gonna have to spell it out for me.
Well, it's like, broadly speaking, the actual construction path is sort of like Minecrafty because you're building blocks, obviously.
Okay.
And it has creative mode, so obviously you can just build shit.
Alright.
And that's fine.
Mm.
I mean, that's like, creative mode is not really a mode.
No, it's just
in
like,
any game.
Creative mode is turn off the game.
Yeah, exactly. So the actual game is like, obviously it's a survival mode because it's an open worldish kind of Minecrafty style collect resources thing.
Okay.
But the thing about
space.
We're in space. But
like, are you on asteroids or?
Well, yeah, it's asteroids, but you're not really on them. They don't have gravity.
Ah. Oh,
I
so
mean,
you're flying.
They wouldn't. Yeah.
So you're flying all the time.
Yeah,
it's no clip mode.
Yeah, basically. I mean, asteroids wouldn't have enough gravity in most cases for you to be able to stand on them anyway.
Which, I guess, yeah. They have some kind of rock magnet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's artificial gravity in like the larger ships can create a gravity field.
Okay, right.
So the thing about the survival mode of this is like there's not really any survival mode to it. It's like survival mode basically is just like hard mode for creative. Because all you're doing is just building stuff. It's just now you need to collect the resources to build stuff. And there's not like any goal apart from to build stuff.
Right. So the stuff you're building doesn't further you?
No, not really.
It's just something you want to do?
It's like everything's unlocked from the start pretty much, assuming you can collect the raw resources to build it. There's not really any progression. Apart from the bigger ships just taking more resources to build.
So, I guess if there's no like real, I don't know, goal or anything you should be doing, that then asks the question: is it as deep as something like Kerbal or Minecraft? Like, is the level of stuff you can make interesting enough?
Yeah. It's like that might be where the early access like problem comes into this, because it's like I'm not sure where they're going with it, because it's like you're in space and you're in survival mode, and you have to keep recharging your suit, because then you might die if your suit energy runs out. But that's really just you go to the terminal and you charge up your suit because you're running off a fucking nuclear reactor and you're mining uranium and you're shoving it in there, and
it makes energy for it.
Yeah, and it makes power. And there's no like mining uranium isn't inherently any more difficult than mining any other fucking resource. And refining it isn't any different from refining any other resource. And it's like, in theory, there could be, like, different... Like, you could start off with something powered by solar panels and have the nuclear reactors be the end game of the like, resource progression. But that's, like, will they do that? And it's like, when you're looking at the layout of the resources in the asteroid, it's just like, here's an asteroid, here's some random ores in it, and there's no... Is not like a pattern or anything, and then you don't get resources that are specific to one type of asteroid or something, or have a special way to extract them. It's just like, here's a random vein of gold and it intersects with a vein of iron, and there's just like platinum all over the place. And it's just a matter of you have to find all the resources to be able to build anything. So it's not actually... It could be a cool game to have a survival mode, but then it might be too difficult. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess this is one of the core problems with early access, that, when you're, like, at this point in the process, unless you, I guess, really read into some of the language coming out of the developers, if there's any decent language coming out of the developers.
Well, they're doing patch notes.
Yeah, where are they going? Is the period in which they're in now just that, okay, we need to just mess with systems to get the systems working? How the game hangs together as a game is... We just haven't done that yet. Well, they've probably thought of it, maybe, but is it just not in the game, or is it not being communicated? You don't know whether what they're doing right now is indicative of what the actual gameplay is going to be like now, in the sense of what you're going to be doing moment to moment.
It's like that's why I was wondering about its creative mode, because it seems like I don't know what, apart from. Because you've got the creative mode, which is just building stuff, and that's like fine because it's got a decent building system, and you can fly ridiculously large spaceships and crash them into each other, and they have cool deforming physics and stuff.
That's cool, and
that's like fairly decent, but that's not actually a game really. I mean, you can have fun crashing shit into other shit for a while.
Yeah,
but then in the survival aspect,
that'd be cool if that made it into Kerbal, that kind of tech.
Maybe. instead of stuff just disappearing in an explosion.
Exploding, yeah.
And then there is like one of the not really maps, I guess, starting environments of the game is like a team setup where there's basically 2 bases, and there is a way to create like weaponry, like there's automated turrets that will shoot down incoming asteroids, and there's like warheads that explode on impact, so you can basically make missiles. Or piloted missiles, I suppose. Because you'd like have to fly them at a target and then jump out, I guess, and just let the momentum carry it. So it's like, theoretically, there could be some kind of maybe combat, but I don't think that's compatible with survival, because it would take so long to build defences and ships and missiles. It's like, that's too long a term for survival, but in creative, there's no consequence. You're just firing shit at other shit and crashing into each other.
I don't know. It's early access. We can't really say, I guess. But as it stands, you're not really sure what the game is.
It's still interesting to like. I find it interesting to do just like have to collect the resources to build the ships, and also obviously at the point I'm at, I'm still experimenting with like how ships even work and what is like a good design for a mining ship or whatever. And there's you can get more complicated with like actuators and stuff and have like moving parts.
I'm just trying to get sorry.
You're looking at an image.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a feel for what this thing actually is. I see what you mean by like the block design.
Yeah.
Aspects of things.
And shit crashing into shit. There's quite a few images of that. That's like
someone's made a Halo.
Naturally. How would that even work? You can't. You'd have to be a fucking huge thing because you can only build at 45-degree angles.
Yeah, interesting.
And
so you can build collections of blocks, but then angle them a bit like Lego. You mean?
No, you can using like the actuators, the motors. You can set them at whatever angle, but then that has like limitations where it's like the bits at the end of the motors aren't connected to the power grid or whatever.
I see.
You have to build a reactor on each individual segment. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like it for just collecting resources and building stuff, and I haven't got to the point where I'm bored of setting up my base, basically.
That's the bit you seem to like most about a lot of these games, though, isn't it? Just setting up your home.
Yeah, exactly. That is the game part of the survival game.
I guess, yeah.
And Jesus Christ, because I suddenly just remembered the other thing that I played the entire of last week that wasn't Bravely Default.
Oh, what was that?
Whole other game?
Yeah.
All of it?
The whole other game that is very similar. I played like quite a lot of Terraria because there was a new patch.
Oh, was it?
And I was like, I haven't played Terraria for ages, and I probably haven't seen the last several patches. But there was it was like last week, I noticed that there was a patch note on Terraria that said Thursday, and I was like, wait, really? Actual new content like this week? So I looked at it coincidentally at the right moment, and then I went and played it. But of course, I haven't got to any of the new content because I started over and built a base, because that's what you do. Although I guess I have seen some like new stuff just from, it filters down into even the early game. There's new like resources that I haven't seen even at the early points of the game. So yeah, I played around with that and built the trouble with Terraria, I guess it's the trouble with all of these games like Minecraft or whatever, is like I'm always trying to basically find the exploit that lets me build more, like, it's not really like a better defended base or whatever, it's just like I'm trying to make it in a way that is nice but also lazy. Whereas like with Terraria,
quickest way to make something good.
Where in Terraria, I was like, well, you need housing for all your NPCs, so it's just like you could just build a fucking block of tower, just squares,
condos,
and it's like that's kind of boring. So you make it into a town, like make it like nice looking, but it's still technically just squares. And then you're growing them like the plants for making the potions. So it's like I have to have some nice farms, but then you want the farms to be protected from enemies as well, because you have to go there to harvest the shit at some point. There might be enemies, and it would be really annoying if there was enemies in the way, so you're designing that shit. And then it's like, well, you don't want to deal with the zombies at night, because they're just like a hassle. And in Terraria, it's like most of the time the zombies can't even break through doors, apart from in the Blood Moon, where there's tons of zombies and they can break through doors. So it's like you have to design your town so that the zombies can't get at your NPCs, because then they kill them. And then if you don't want to deal with having the zombies walk into your town during the Blood Moon, you have to exploit the dumb AI by making basically lava traps. Whereas, like, if you build a very shallow pool of lava under a bridge, and by bridge I mean like the item that you can drop through, it's like it's called a platform. You can stand on it, and you can also push down to drop through it.
Okay.
If you build like a lava pool under a bridge, and then if you're physically standing at a lower altitude than where that bridge is, zombies, the pathing AI of the zombies always tries to move towards the same level as you. So they'll walk up the bridge and then immediately try and drop through it and fall in the lava. Yeah. And if the lava's shallow enough, the item drops don't even get destroyed by it. So you can just use it to harvest the zombies as well.
They build some ridiculous mechanic. Well,
it's not even a ridiculous mechanic, that's all you need.
Like the auto-killing thing in
Minecraft. It's like whenever there's a blood moon, you just go and stand under your lava trap, and all the zombies just sacrifice themselves.
Give me your goodies.
So yeah, that's what you do in that kind of game. You always try and find the sort of not exactly exploits, but like the cheapest way of designing things. It's like with Minecraft when you've got zombies that can't break down doors most of the time, but then sometimes they can if there's enough of them. Or you're trying to defend a village with villagers. It's less like, well, just fucking wall it in and illuminate it so zombies can't spawn there.
Just build big enough walls.
Yep.
And destroy them when you need to get out.
Yep. Or design piston doorways because the zombies can't detect that.
Yeah.
If you're moving physical blocks. The old classic. So that's what I do. I build bases and then design things to try and make it easier on me so I don't have to deal with the annoyances.
You're just like optimizing your quality of life in these games.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well,
it's like when you're building the crafting tables, it's like, I need a chest that's within reach, so when I'm standing at the crafting table, I can still reach that chest in order to access the materials.
So we need to find a real-world application for this desire of yours to optimize systems.
I theoretically also looked at Spacechem for a minute, speaking of optimization.
Yeah, that's pretty much the game entirely about optimization.
Yeah. I didn't really play very well. I played like a couple of levels, and then kind of remembered that I'd done all the normal levels. Because once you get into where they did that like community submitted journal of additional puzzles.
Oh yeah.
It's like a lot of those aren't. They start to go into the realm of like not actually being things that should work in the game. No. Like there's the ones where you have to like use a molecule as like where it's like you could do this super easily if only you had the detector which can detect what kind of molecule. But instead you have to pick up a molecule that can only have one bond and then try and bond it to multiple things and use that as a detection mechanism. Whereas like if this molecule can only bond with one thing, then it must be this molecule because that molecule can only have one bond. It's like that's not really a mechanic, that's just being a big fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that would sort of I consider bad practice in the programming world, that sort of thing, because it's like, oh, okay, so if it does this, then we know it is this, and then you have to presumably comment that block of code that makes that assumption in such a way that it's like, warning, I am making a huge assumption here that this works because of this reason, this implied knowledge, and it's like, all right, I dislike that style.
Yeah, it's just like, it's no longer within the mechanics of the game.
It's kind of clever as a puzzle mechanic, though.
Yeah, but not. It's just like they're just making it unnecessarily awkward. That's my problem. It's like I like the puzzles where it's just like the inputs match the outputs more or less. Well, I guess that's sort of another problem I had. Where I was just looking at a puzzle where it's just like you get these two molecules in, and they're like this one's atomic weight 90 and this one's atomic weight 70, and you have to make two things that are the median of whatever that is. Like maths. Like, but basically, you've got an atom that's 90 and an atom that's 70, and you're trying to make. No, it was you have an atom that's 90 and an atom that's 70, and the output you're trying to make is 10. And it's like that seems like that shouldn't be a problem because you're just taking the thing. It's like it divides into 10. That's fine.
Right.
But the trouble is that the mechanics of the game, when you're splitting an atom, you're splitting it in half. So the 70 turns into two 35s, and then you split the 35s in half, and you end up with a 17 and a 16.
Yeah.
So you're basically fucked. So it just becomes like this giant hassle, and because this puzzle doesn't have any waste, you can't waste any of these molecules.
Yeah, you can't just get a 10 and throw the rest away.
Yeah, you can't just get rid of all this other crap. So you've got a 70 and a 90, but you couldn't even fuse the 70 and the 90 together to make a starting molecule because that goes over the limit of how big an atom can be. So it's basically just a giant pain in the ass that's restrained by this puzzle in a really awkward way.
It's just a big math puzzle, isn't it, really? And then you've got to try and you figure out a route using math, and then you figure out a route using the actual game's mechanics.
But yeah, those puzzles get like too much. It's just too much effort. I like the things where I don't mind when it's like completely where you have to work without any recycling, where it's like you can't dispose of anything. Those are okay, but once it gets, there's a certain point of that where the scale becomes too much, and it's just like I don't want to have to deal with this. It's too much. I like optimization. I don't like getting through the puzzle necessarily. It's like once I've made a solution, then I can optimize it.
How good can I make this thing?
Yeah. That's why I like the multi-reactor puzzles as well, because then you can look at all your reactors and see which one's running the slowest.
You get you into some sort of like super filthy form of John Carmack style programming, like where you find like pick one topic and just optimize the shit out of it, so it's the most amazing one thing. That's what we need to do. The application of Zeg theorem.
But he's like a brick.
And I'm pretty sure
so much potential.
That is all I've been playing. And I'm also pretty sure that we should end this podcast now.
Yeah, I think we're way over.
And B, Jesus Christ, it's so hot in here.
It's pretty hot, yeah.
If the words coming out of my mouth have sounded ridiculous in the form of sentences, it's because my
no
brain is not working very well here.
I think that's standard for all of us, isn't it? Any sentence that we create is somewhat bound by insanity.
Well, it gets a lot worse when it's fucking hot.
Yeah, it does.
And also, I'm hungry.
It's time to
peached.
Brain not work good.
I think I'm gonna
yourself my good.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'm gonna get pizza too. Why the hell not? Yeah.
Remote pizza action.
I'm gonna have some Polo ad Romana shit. Some kind of frozen Pizza Express pizza. Not frozen.
Oh,
chilled.
Man.
Don't make this podcast go longer.
No.
Oh, man.
There's just something that I have to mention because it's amazing. You know the Domino's Double Decadence, right?
Yeah, the horrible, disgusting mess.
One that's weird, yeah. The Double Decadence is the one where you have two thin pizza bases.
With shit in between them.
And they put something in the middle, like a sauce or I think it's like the dip that they put in the middle.
It's horrifying.
Alright, Asda have done something sort of weird that they call the Double Decker. Which is basically, as far as I can tell, just two pizzas on top of each other.
It's a pizza sandwich.
Yeah, it kind of is, except the top half has still got toppings on it.
Oh.
It's not like just two bases with stuff in the middle. No, it's just two pizzas stacked. Except the ones I saw were like in the lower layer, they would put just like cheese and
not actual toppings,
not actual real toppings. Like, but I couldn't see anything about the rules of these pizzas. Like, so what could you put in the middle? Could you have like a bacon layer?
I assume it wasn't on the thick bases as well.
There was two thins.
Yeah, because two of those thick bases would be fucked.
But this is the thing. The pack was labelled as being a thin and crispy double decker. They went to the effort of labelling it specifically as a thin and crispy double decker. So is it possible to have like a stone bake double decker or a thick crust, a pan crust double decker?
Those crusts are so thick.
It sounds so. The one they had, they only had one on the shelf,
right?
And it was the bottom layer was like garlic and cheese, like the garlic butter stuff. The garlic butter stuff and a ton of cheese, like cheddar, like rather than like mozzarella and stuff.
Right.
And the top layer is basically a meat piece.
Oh shit!
Apparently, this is to do with the World Cup somehow.
Naturally, branding.
Yeah. Brazilian double decker.
Yeah, what's double decker about Brazil? That's like that should be if it's in London again.
Parts of the slums.
I don't think those go above one story most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, actually, they probably do. It's probably just hella unsafe.
People just sleep on top of each other, and that's a double decker.
Okay, so to conclude on a nice racist note there, let's...
I didn't say that. That's not racist, it's just the slum.
Yeah, it's the slums.
Or the Brazilians sleep on top of each other.
In the slums?
In the slums.
There could be any nation that's poor.
Yeah. I'm sure any poor people can sleep on top of each other.
I'm sure any rich one could sleep on top of each other if they want.
I think
you need to pay more for that.
You might want to let some air into that room. I think you're right. Okay, thanks for joining us for the Saladcast. Catch us next time for more rambling and some more games. And also check out our YouTube channel for Sonic Adventure playthroughs, among others. The continuing saga of Final Fantasy VII. And
we did the important thing in Final Fantasy VII. We did the critical plot point, and Rob was very uninterested.
As it sort of, well, it's because it's
so look forward to that.
It's sort of been done to death like so many times. It's just like, oh well, that happened, but it was weirder than I ever expected. It's like I hadn't got to that point in the story myself before, and it's just like, well, this is sort of anticlimactic. Like,
and you were still not very interested, even though it was that weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, check that out on our video thing channel.
It's called The Famous Bit. It's the name of the episode.
The Famous Bit, yeah.
The Famous Bit.
Okay.
And if you're not into videos, check out the Saladcast in 2 weeks' time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's the pause button. You don't want to hit that.
Oh, yeah. No,
Bye.